Do you guys not label your sound files?
I do. There's so many here now. It's like
Yeah, dude, it's after. Yeah, it's crazy. It's crazy.
And here I am wanting to be a host and laughing at how many sound files you guys
Oh
have.
my god,
I don't want to be. It's not fun.
it's
You know,
It's nuts.
I'm kind of dumb.
But I gotta go to the bathroom.
Oh gosh, no!
What did he say?
You know, I'm kind of dumb.
Oh my god!
Oh, come on, where's the Gallimimus? Come on.
oh wait a minute.
Oh,
there
it's
it is.
Gallimimus!
Oh shit, there we
Some
go.
of them are in like the same
Somebody
areas.
else hit record, so I'm not the only one in case something
I'll hit it.
happens. Thank you.
Who
Are
was...
you coming? Are you joining us?
Me?
Yeah. Are you gonna join us?
No, I don't think
No.
so.
Are you gonna
I'm-
join
I'm-
us?
No, come
He's hitting
on!
record, but he's not.
Yeah,
No,
you're right here.
this was Willektron saying I was hitting record.
Oh, I thought you guys sound so much alike. It's so freaking weird because you're kind of the same person.
I mean, from what I've seen, yeah, kind of.
You're both a little Amish, just a little, just a smidge. Yeah, I'll do it real quick and then I'll go to the bathroom. And it sucks. 'cause
Sorry, you
I'm
don't have to
down
do
in
that
the
right
basement, and
Your
before I
bathroom's
was right in
farther
my
away.
bedroom, and we had a bathroom right off the bedroom, so I could just like be right back.
Is that why
Now
you
I'm,
sped
like,
up?
gotta-
I was like...
Hell yeah, that's why it was fast.
all right,
It was,
all right,
literally
everyone.
5 feet away. Now
Here
it's
we
like
go.
a long
I found
time.
it. Here it is. Ready?
Hey, how you doing?
Oh my
we
God.
gonna have some fun, little child.
We need an adult.
Oh, this is what's up.
What the fuck?
I told you, it's a little creepy.
Not a little.
This is
Not a
all.
little.
This is all stuff except for the
It's-
turtle.
The freaking
Is all stuff
music
from
fine.
the show. Like
Well,
Dang it, you guys are right. I hear Luminen talking and I think it's me.
I told you, it's you guys sound so much alike. It tricked me.
Why am I echoing? I didn't even say anything.
I'm echoing stuff that I'm not even saying.
Ventriloquism at its finest.
It's like that.
It's like Jeff Dunham.
It's like that scene in
Actually, I'm
How the
actually
Grinch
going
Stole
to see
Christmas.
him, I think next weekend.
Seen who? The race
Jeff Dunham.
turtle?
No, Jeff Dunham.
Jeffified.
Ooh, he's
Yeah.
cool.
Oh, nice.
How you doing? We gonna have some
Oh,
fun,
gosh.
little child.
all right.
Promo, fuck
I
off
feel a
with
little
that.
vomit in the back of my throat.
The worst part is, if you didn't know that was a turtle noise, you would not know.
I know. It's
You know, it was
terrible.
Prometheus.
It's funny, but
I
creepy.
pulled that from the web. It's not like in my repertoire of
I
sound
know,
effects.
the music is like, ooh.
Oh, I added that.
I feel so dirty. Turn it
It's 10.
That is the idea.
It's only 10.
So gross. Yeah, so
Alright.
I mean,
So-
you did a good job. Play your Coach Smitty.
I'll be right back.
No, really?
It might be better now.
It might be
It's not
better
so
now.
fresh, you know
Oh,
what
I
mean?
totally
Like,
want to hear this.
yeah,
Esme, I thought you were using the bathroom.
I told
Alright.
him it was going to.
Are we ready?
I've been saying fuck your feelings forever now.
Hello, Coach Smith. 10-0, undefeated district champs. How did you put together such a great team? Well, I try to teach the kids how to play good ball, strong basics, good drills, and we focus on teamwork. Again, Coach Smitty. Another great stop in the red zone. Great stop in the 10-yard line. Your defense really seems to be stepping it up. Well, they're getting better each week. I really like the progress we've made. Oh, hold on a second. Tommy! Tommy! Get off the ground, man! No! No, it doesn't matter! Fuck your feelings! I said fuck your feelings! Sorry, where were we?
Checking out.
And now I will be AFK, and I will be right back. I'm gonna just who's listening to the show but will be muted, and then I'll know to bring you down.
Blue.
If you want to run to the bathroom, I can take care of that for
Yeah,
you.
that's awesome. Thank you.
Yep.
Sounds good. I'm gonna hop down there then, and then you take care of that. Thank you.
All right, if you guys are planning on just listening, hop down to recording waiting room. It's the third from the bottom. If you are recording, all right. So I have Balloon, Big Blue, Goon, and Maximus. You guys are muted as just listening. Yeah, okay. If I'm wrong, say something. Too bad, I can't hear you.
Hello.
Blue.
Hello, welcome
I'm
back.
really rethinking about being born a girl. It would be so much more convenient to have a pop bottle. Go to the bathroom. I'm like, this is crazy.
I don't know if I would do that if I had the option. Well, I mean,
don't
I do
know,
have the
I've
option. I
heard
don't think I would do that anyway.
Yeah, I
You haven't
have
talked to
the
people I've
option.
talked
I just
to.
don't.
Yeah, I don't think I've actually ever done that.
I have heard of quite a lot of guys have gone to the bathroom in a pop bottle, but they were World of Warcrafters and they're pretty,
Yeah.
they're pretty hardcore.
Blue says
Well-
real men use Gatorade bottles.
Yeah, real men use Gatorade bottles. Oh my god.
I mean, I guess the opening is a
Oh my
little
God.
bigger.
That's
Might be easier.
Oh, good
Well,
lord.
Damn it,
maybe
Andy.
maybe if I was still like in a dorm setting or something where I'd have to go up the hallway to go to the bathroom, but
That's what I'm saying.
when you're in
I
you're in a house
upstairs.
and you have to walk literally 20 feet to get to your bathroom.
That's not
Well,
me,
she's
though,
got to go
dude.
all the way upstairs.
Yeah, I gotta go upstairs to three rooms. It's like, yeah.
You
I'm
guys should put.
spoiled the
You
past.
should
like
put a
five-
bathroom in downstairs.
I need to, like a porta potty, like I'm camping.
It's like 5
Well, I
steps
was
for me to
thinking a
get to my
permanent
bathroom.
fixture,
Well,
but okay.
I'm just going for easiness, functionality. It's good enough for who it's for, kind of thing. All right. So
I
we
prefer
all
not
set?
to have smells, so
Well, it's just going to the number one. It's not like I'm number two in down here. Okay, I'm a girl. We don't go number two.
Still
Remember?
smells.
Well, then just get a
Jeez.
5-gallon pail.
wow. Really?
5-gallon pail with a toilet seat on top. You can squat on that.
oh gosh.
All right, we're right back on track.
We are back.
It's like we never left. So silly. Okay, so where are we at? Is she's about to start.
Yep.
You put that belt
Okay.
down.
Got my mic muty.
All right, here we go.
I'm wearing my birthday suit, and I got a luscious blonde wig on.
Don't worry, as soon as I spawn, I'll find more things to kill me.
Extra, extra.
Chin waggers.
Yeah, chin wagon. Bit of chin wagon.
Hop right on the chin wagon, you chin waggers.
This is the most organized chaos I've ever heard.
Welcome to Rated Extra, where the crew of Rated Arc talks about Arc and a lot of other games and a lot of other stuff for a very, very long time. Enjoy!
Welcome to episode number 14 of Rated Arc. This is actually Rated Extra, sorry. Getting back to the groove. This is our open discussion gaming podcast that we will put out whenever we feel like it. Today is February 9th, 2018. We are a CRR Gaming Group hosted podcast. You can reach the show by emailing ratedarc@gmail.com. You can tweet the show at ratedarc on Twitter. And you can grab the RSS feed, get our show notes, and apply to join us in game at ratedarc.com.
All right, who wants to introduce the show? Okay, nobody signed up. I guess I'll do it. All right, tonight we have Luminen is streaming from our mixer. It is mixer.com/ratedarc. And then we also have Mr. Promo in the house.
Yo.
And we have Mr. Cricket is back with us.
Cricket.
And Cyber Judge is coming in from 4 feet high snow from Canada.
Welcome to my end.
Oh my goodness.
Oh gosh.
And we have Gigabyte.
The turtle was better, huh?
That's what. Oh, nobody says that because nobody gets a turtle. Anyways, and is Goon, are you joining us or are you hanging out with us?
I think he's just hanging out today.
He might just be hanging out. Next, we have Mr. Provoke.
Hey, you guys.
He's another Canadian, right? Are you from Canada too?
Yeah, Edmonton,
Yep.
Alberta.
I thought so. And we have
Ooh, personal information. We'll find you.
Mr. Willektron.
Hey everybody, good to be back.
And Foe might be joining us later. He got stuck over at work, and I am Esmeralda Sky. And we just wanted to start the show because, we can't just slide into your RSS feed and your podcatchers and iTunes and all that jazz and pretend like we've been here the entire time. So where have we been? Any of you guys want to tell our listeners?
Just wanted to slip it in, just pretend.
No sliding in here, guys. No, none. We're going to tell where have we been? Why have we been MIA? It's a little bit of all kinds of things.
Yeah, man.
I blame the
that's a big
Esme. No, I'm
question.
kidding.
I may have started it out because my computer back in the summer took a dump, and I didn't know what was
Was it
wrong
that long
with it.
ago?
God, it feels like it. I think it was. I think it was like August. I want to say it was like August. Yeah, it's about when I bought Stardew Valley, and I started playing a lot of that. That's all my laptop could handle. So, yeah, my computer took a dump. I didn't know what was wrong with it. We figured out it was apparently either the motherboard, the motherboard, or the CPU. My processor, one of those. Those are 3 things, but 2 of them are the same, right?
Yes,
like that.
yes. The processor and the CPU generally
I don't
refer
know
to
really
the same
anything
thing.
There were only 2 things there, but
2.
Well, she said she listed 3 things, but
What
she
was the
said
third?
they
I
were
didn't hear
referred to
it.
2 objects.
Yeah, I
So
referred. Yeah, there's just called different names. So,
processor and CPU are equivalent.
Yeah. So that's where we're at with that. So I finally just got back from a bunch of like ridiculous real life stuff. Family passing away, friends passing away, my computer back. My husband was almost losing his job. It was a bunch of stuff, and it was all around Christmas. So, but we're seeing the light at the end of the tunnel, and I got to get back, and we're all excited to be back. And then I'm going to hand the baton over to Mr. Promo. What?
oh yeah,
I'm going to hand it to you.
I came back from the dead practically.
While I was MIA.
I don't want to get too into the nitty gritty, I guess, just yet. But basically, I had some health troubles, and that took me away from trying to hold the baton while Esme was gone. So just things got real. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Well, we're glad you're still with us, man.
Absolutely. Beyond words cannot describe how happy we are that you are still with us. That's for sure. Still be able to do all these silly things on the side that that we like to do for fun. So that's
exactly.
Awesome. All right. So where's everybody? What have you been up to, Mr. Gigabyte? Playing Eve? Is Gigabyte gone?
What?
Oh,
What? Zoned out, hitting
What
rocks.
have you been up to, man? You've been playing a
Yeah,
lot of
I've
Eve?
mostly been playing like 90% Eve.
You are infatuated, and Promo's not buying what you're selling. He feels like he's going to take out a
I don't know why.
college degree in order to play Eve.
That game is ridiculous. That game is so ridiculous.
It is not. It is super simple.
I like the
not.
concept, but I'm more of a sim, like a space sim type thing, where you can actually like fly the ships around manually. So
Well, I mean, you can do that. It's just it's not the best way to do it.
Well, there you go.
yeah, exactly.
So, Cricket, where have you been? You bailed on us. You had a lot of stuff going on way back on Rated Arc, and you were doing a lot of dino mating talk, and then poof.
I took a break. I was just having too much time that I was spending on the game, and then I was going through a move. We moved from down a few states, and it just took a lot of time. And then after I moved, I just decided that I was gonna try to spend more time offline, and did that for a long time, a few months, and now I'm getting back on Aberration. Essentially pulled me back on the Arc and back in with all you guys.
Well, we missed you, that's for sure. So what have you been up to, Mr. Cyber Judge?
Not a whole lot. Being a dad, keep busy, and work's keeping me busy, but do get a lot of gaming time in. Won't spoil it for later in the show when I talk about it.
Absolutely. Well, it's good that you can join us.
Thank you.
And what have you been up to, Mr. Provoke?
Hanging out with my super pregnant wife.
That's right. So we have a
Gaming,
Danny on the way.
she's 5 weeks away? Not even. No, she corrected me. 4 weeks, less than 4 weeks away.
Exciting.
Yeah, so
congratulations.
Pretty excited about that.
Is this
Playing
your
on
first?
some Arc.
This is first kid?
Yeah, this is our first.
Oh, it's on. Game on.
Yeah, we're pretty stoked. Little baby girl, so that's gonna be cool.
More like games off.
Yeah, it goes both ways. Yeah, it's gonna be a lot of teamwork, but real life teamwork.
Yeah.
All right, what have you been up to, Mr. Willektron?
All sorts of things, as you will hear later. But as far as real life goes, just hanging out, working. I worked for essentially a software technology development, software development contract company. Basically, they hire employees to do work for their clients, essentially. So I was a contractor for a while, and then the client liked me so much that they hired me on directly, and so I work for them full time.
Congratulations! That's awesome.
Yeah, it's pretty cool.
Good for you. That's awesome.
So doing that, got into playing some D&D on the side with some people I know where I live, and so that's been fun too. And lots of different, you know me and my sampling, like not hundreds of different video games, but it feels like it sometimes, but a lot of different video games, and I will be talking about that a little bit later.
All right, cool. All right, well, I think that is getting us right. Did I miss anyone? I don't think I did.
I think you got everybody.
I think I got everyone. So that means it's into talking about the games we've been playing.
I think
All
my
right.
face just melted.
Why?
It's just a bit loud.
Oh, is it loud? It didn't sound loud on my end, so I didn't.
No, it's fine. I just.
Too silly. All right, Promo, if your face is still there, you are first up to bat.
Yeah, my face is. The Christmas break, my wife got me Nintendo Switch, and it's actually stole nearly 100% of the gaming time that I've had on my P normally.
What? The PC Master Race guy has a console?
Yeah. It's just in terms of one thing that Nintendo really hit well is the portability as well as the ability to just quickly switch it to a full-size console. And it's so seamless. It's instantaneous. The device turns on and off with such little you pick up right where you left off. Like, it's immediate. Like, there's no loading times or anything. It's just they did a very good job, and it's almost like I feel like the Wii U was the beta to what they really wanted to make, but maybe it was too costly back then or not possible or whatever. But this to me seems like the Wii U 2.0, and it's done really well. It's just a lot of fun. 2 players, everything. Just the way they built it, it basically comes with 2 controllers, kind of, and so 2 people can play the game or games together with almost no effort. It's really cool. My son and I enjoy it. I picked up a bunch of games for it, and it was just it's a great console. The console came with a bundled Zelda Breath of the Wild. And I mean, that is fantastic. If you have never played this game, it won Game of the Year, if I'm not mistaken. I'm pretty sure it did, right? If anyone can confirm that? Hello? In there? Bueller?
I don't think so. I've heard a bunch of different games that won Game of the Year.
What year are we looking at?
2017. Yes, Zelda won Game of the Year 2017. It is a fantastic game. The art style is unmatched. They really did a fantastic job. They made actually pretty low-end hardware in terms of resources against, say, the modern console, your PS4 or your Xbox One, right? They made such a fantastic and inspiring game. The game is it's derivative of the core audience that used to play Zelda games, and it just different enough to be just a game that stands out on its own. It is, if you haven't played it yet, I highly recommend it. It is absolutely a fantastic game. And in my opinion, absolutely deserves Game of the Year. It's just, I can't say enough about it. It's an open world kind of sandbox game, and the timeline is done really well. Entering the game difficulty ramps up with the further you unlock missions and complete things. And it's just really well done. They have a way of resetting the map so that the game always keeps feeling fresh and things continue to respawn for you. And they just did a fantastic, the music, the gameplay, all of it just fits so perfectly in what I think is the most convenient video game device that I've ever dealt with. And so I think the PC has its match, in terms of a lot of things. And I think mobile gaming is going to make a bigger stand soon. As the hardware on these devices continues to get better, it'll be harder for the traditional setup to compete. And I think Nintendo is so far ahead of the game in terms of what most people need, because it changed my life a little bit. It's a little interesting because it changed where I play, so, and when I play. So when you're at most people have like an office or a separate room for that setup, and even if you're in the living room, you're still kind of dedicated to this device that's in front of you, and it's kind of large and cumbersome. And I love my PC, don't get me wrong, but in terms of just being able to switch between portable and full-size living room experience, the family comes home and you don't want to be just hogging up the TV. You just pull it out and you continue playing on the portable, finish up. Even if you just shut it down immediately, you don't even have to save your game. You just instant on. I can't say enough about the Switch. I think it's a fantastic job. I also, of course, got Mario Odyssey, which won a ton of other awards during the Game Awards too. It's fantastic. It's one of the best Marios, in my opinion, that they've ever made. This is they harken back to a lot of their roots with Mario 64 and the 2D series, and they have a really cool blend of it all. Has anyone played Mario Odyssey? or even Zelda. I'm sorry, I'm just
Bye.
like totally dominating the conversation. I apologize.
I've played it briefly, like in a GameStop. 7 out of 10.
Well,
which one?
Yeah, I haven't played Mario. But you're making me feel so guilty about not finishing up Breath of the Wild yet.
Oh, it's fantastic. I haven't finished it yet either. I mean, technically, I'm trying to do every single mission. I'm probably almost 200 hours in now.
I'm only like maybe 15, 20 hours in.
There's just so much. The game is fantastic. It's just such a well done game. And I don't want to ruin it for anyone. There are game mechanics that continue to evolve as you play the game, and that was one of the things I loved about the Witcher series, Witcher 3. So it was kind of nice to see and refreshing to see that kind of repeated. And games get stale, if they don't kind of change up the game mechanics, as you play, and they kind of start to feel repetitive. So anyway, Mario Odyssey is a fantastic game. It reminds me so much of Mario 64 in ways that the Sunshine and the other one, which is blanking right now in my head, they differed from Galaxy, right? They differed from they branched away from the Mario 64 path. I know platformer-wise, it still seemed to make the sense, but there's a lot of I played a lot of Mario 64, and I feel like a lot of the game mechanics come from that. And what else did I have? Let's see. I forgot myself.
Dragon Ball Fighter Z.
Oh, this game is fantastic. Oh, this is another one.
Yeah.
They did such a fantastic job making this game. This is totally the fans' version of any fighting game that could ever be made with these characters. The animation that happens while you play is so authentic to the series. It's just such a breath of fresh air to see the amount of effort they put in to making sure that everything is so just well animated. It's such a great job. It's kind of like a la Cuphead is to like early animation. This is just such a well done. They have these quick little video. What am I calling them? Video segment breaks, I guess, in between when you do a special move or something.
It's like a camera cut.
It's
a camera cut.
Kind of little things.
Yeah, and they work so well, and they just did such a great job in terms of the game mechanics. I mean, anyone else have this?
I have played like the betas. I've played it a little bit.
Yeah, as we discussed, I don't own it personally, but a friend of mine shares his Steam library with me, so I can play it. And I actually just came from from hanging out with said friend and a couple other guys, and we were playing this tonight. And it just continues to amaze me how well done this game is, both as a fighting game I haven't really watched much Dragon Ball Z, but just the quality of the animation and the camera cuts and just the production values and everything for this game, I think they hit a home run.
I've watched every episode of Dragon Ball Z multiple times, I would say.
I am the same way, read the manga, and I'm watching Dragon Ball Super with my little brother.
Yeah, they did such a fantastic job in terms of the footage and the gameplay, I think. And the gameplay is it's like they also had like a whole separate team of fighting game experts, and this is like this whole genre was like dead for a while, right? I mean, in the 90s it was huge with Street Fighter and Mortal Kombat.
The fighting game scene has always been around, but
right, there was a very core audience.
Yeah,
that obviously they never let.
You either had arcadey fighter games like Dragon Ball Xenoverse, or you had like Street Fighter, Tekken.
Right.
Yeah, I remember loving playing the fighting games back when they were first getting out with Street Fighter 2, Mortal Kombat, Killer Instinct. But now that it's been a number of years since then, and just seeing all the stuff that gets into it, like all the in-depth analysis and how much I just didn't know about the game when I wasn't quite button mashing, but I feel like I was just a monkey, smashing the keys. When I see all the stuff now with all the analysis about this move is 12 frames of animation, and on the
they're insane.
You have to hit this in order to do this counter and all this stuff. I'm like, I just thought I was hitting the timing right for a combo breaker.
Yeah, I got buddies of mine that have like memorized all of the finishing moves on Mortal Kombat. I'm like, and every time I go to his place, I don't even bother playing with him because he's he knows everything. I don't even get a hit in.
Well, speaking of getting hits in, we have some questions out of our Mixer channel. First up is King Candy 5000. Welcome to the stream. They said, I think the Switch is a great option. Took it on vacation because it's so portable yet powerful.
Yeah, it totally is.
But King Candy is me, by the way.
Okay, King Candy. Well, that's a great thing. And then Philip Kills. Is Philip Kills one of you guys?
That's me.
Oh, right.
You guys.
You guys, little shits. Philip Kills says, I have 3 consoles, but haven't really looked at any of the new ones. Think it's
13.
worth the price point. Sorry. Philip Kills.
Well,
13 consoles. What are you smoking, Philip?
Mixer told me to log in with my Microsoft.
That is so funny.
King Candy's my Microsoft account.
I did not even know. So, hey, guys.
I was just trying to include the Mixer in the combo.
That works. Well, the whole thing about doing that is not telling us it's you, okay? So, I'm picking on you. I'm picking on you.
Oh.
Philip, so you have 13 consoles, but you haven't looked... Huh?
Yeah, I haven't really looked at getting a new console since I got my PC.
Okay.
The last console that I picked up was actually the Sega Master System. I got that from a guy that I worked with.
Okay, so how much does the Switch run?
$399.
$399.
No, sorry, $299.
$299.
It's about 300 even.
So
pretty close
what
there.
you're asking, Provoke, is if you think it is worth the $299 to hop.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely.
This is the coolest thing, though. I mean, the Labo stuff. Had you seen that? I mean, like, I don't know that it's going to be the greatest thing, but in terms of just where they're thinking, right?
Like
I mean,
right now, it's the greatest thing. Is that how you feel?
No, just it's a new direction, right?
Yeah, I was going to say,
it really is amazing. Because from what I don't have one, but from listening to you guys, you're saying you can play it mobile and then hook it up and play it on a bigger screen, like you can
instantly. Yes.
Yeah, it's not even hooking it up. It's like popping it into a freaking.
How does it do? Like. So
have a look at the stream.
Yeah, it's like popping it into a dock, and there you go. It's done.
Really?
Have a look at the stream.
Wirelessly?
No, it's so your dock has an HDMI cable that runs from the dock. Yeah.
So this is
TV.
Nintendo Labo.
Wow.
And they're making the idea here is that remember the Nintendo Wii, right? You had all these plastic accessories, and they just they took up like this whole drawer, right? And it was like this huge bin, and it was a lot of waste, to be honest. And once you're done with the game, those games are they have a shorter life, right? They're not going to be, they're certainly not an ARC. You're not going to play for 3,000 hours, right? in most of these games, so they have a shorter life, and to make something plastic or something that is played so little is a little strange, right? And so this cardboard idea is, to me, it should reduce the cost, and it doesn't seem like that because this is a pretty risky move for them right now. But I think it will eventually reduce the cost of having some of these experiences, and it looks like they put together. I mean, you should go watch the more demonstrated videos, but these things are really cool. They're really well thought out. They have really, really cool features about them, and I mean, and they haven't even been fully explained. These are people just like on YouTube. They'll analyze every frame of this.
Do you yourself have any of these?
No, so this is not yet released.
Okay.
This is Nintendo Labo, but this is just something that they're coming up with, coming out soon to add to the Switch. Right.
Wow, okay.
Yeah, so I'll be honest, when this was first announced, I was like, cardboard? Really? What, like, and then I looked at it, I was like, for $60 or $70, and like, okay, but then I thought about it, and I looked at it, and it's like, I thought about it, and I looked at it, it's like, well, they're still selling software with it. It's not like they're just giving you pieces of cardboard and charging you $60.
Is it anybody else?
Well,
it's a terrible name.
So here's the thing: it's
kind of refreshing, but kind of disturbing at the same time.
It does maybe seem a little bit like that, but I agree with Prometheus. I think the direction that they're heading with it is just like the ideas they're coming up with and what they're thinking about.
So what are you getting for the $60 with all the cardboard?
So you get a whole like variety pack of different things. Maybe if you were watching the stream, you saw like the house and the little piano and the car thing, and there are 2 different packages.
Yeah, that's the one thing, right? So kids can be difficult on stuff,
Yeah.
And that's the part I'm worried about when it comes to the Labo stuff. They better like have like the cardboard for sale cheap. Like if you want to buy new ones, like if you buy the game, if you buy the game, it'll cost you $60 and you get the whole set or whatever. It was $70, $80. If you need a new piano, say, it should cost you $8. It shouldn't cost you something like you could buy just the cardboard pieces. Like, but I don't think they're gonna do that. I think it's gonna be
that you can do it online.
Yeah, like
I was gonna say, someone even if it's not
if they would
official.
sell the 3D printer images for it afterwards. So you can 3D
possibly. Well, yeah. The other thing is, I was gonna say, even if it's not official, someone's gonna reverse engineer like the cuts in the cardboard and put up something online too. Like, I'm not a big fan of like doing that if you don't need to, but like if Nintendo is like, hey, we're just gonna sell these all as just a package and not give you replacement cardboard sets, and I'm not going to condone piracy or anything, but I feel like people are.
Oh, I will pirate the shit out of it.
I feel like people are going to try to take advantage of that kind of thing. But I do agree with Prometheus. I think it would be really cool if they, because I understand charging that amount for the software. It looks like they've done some pretty detailed and intricate stuff with that. But it would be nice. It would be nice.
They do
if
such
they
a fantastic job with a lot of stuff.
Yeah, for sure.
They're very Apple-like, right? In terms of like how they run their company. Like they have very high quality products. They don't. They have a very controlled impression. They try to control their media and their PR, and they do a good job with it generally. I think, right? I mean, you never buy a cheap Nintendo product. Like, how many times do you talk about people like who find a Game Boy or a DS or something that's been in a drawer for 3 years and it turns right on and the battery still works and just the quality is right up there.
I still have my Game Boy Pocket.
One of the other things that's a little upsetting to me about the Switch is how it costs like $80 for another set of the left-right controllers.
Yeah,
so I went buy a second set and it's like, really? It's like $75, $80 or something like that.
Okay. I was a little miffed by that too, because I had to get I got myself a second set as well. But I've, just looking at the controllers themselves, whereas before you would have to pay like $60 just for an extra Wii controller, you're getting essentially two controllers for $20 more.
Right.
And if you look at the technology that is stuffed into these things. It is amazing because they've got the infrared sensor. They've got like essentially what sounds like speakers that they use like as their rumble packs. Essentially, they call it either HD rumble or whatever, but it's like it feels like speakers that play at specific tones and rumble exactly the way that you want it to. So these controllers are absolutely stuffed with crazy technology that makes everything super seamless. So you may choke at it a little bit when you're buying it, but if you look at it and use it and just realize how much they've stuffed into these things, I think it's actually kind of reasonable.
Yeah, with the Labo stuff, they have. Oh, go ahead. Sorry.
Oh, I was gonna say Prometheus, another game. I'm not sure how old your son is, but Snipper Clips is a fun.
We were just playing that.
To play.
We played the demo, I should say. It's pretty difficult, and I don't, even the demo, he was having trouble. But he's a 7, so he still has trouble with using a controller, efficiently. But he's we had a fun time with it. That's definitely a really cool game. The paper, what was it called again?
Snipper Clips. Yeah.
Right, that's the one.
Yeah, a friend of mine actually brought that over last year when he got the Switch, and I was again with a lot of these things. I was skeptical at first, and then we had 4 of us playing at once and just going at it, and we had a great time. So
that was I wanted to get a second set of Joy-Cons, so my whole family could play Snipper Clips together, as well as I think you can play 1-2 Switch with differently with 4 cons. Then you can with 2. I don't remember.
Yeah, and a lot of these games are multi-console friendly too. Like, so you could have multiple consoles and they'll share. I don't know about Snipper Clips specifically, but it's just a really well designed system. If you'll notice, there's like the infrared sensor in the bottom, and that's how like the piano works, or the this guy here. You see those little white actually the stream will catch up here in a minute. But when they take the back off the backpack thing, those little white things moving up and down, that's what the controller is sensing in the Nintendo Labo stuff. But I didn't, and just to wrap it up, I mean, Mario Kart is another fantastic game. They did a great job with it. It's really just a port from the Wii U version. I don't even know if I got a graphic for it, but it's another well done game. I enjoy it. My son enjoys it and plays with me. We also got Monopoly. Anyway, that covers everything that I had to go. I want to hand on the baton to Esme before we go on too long, right?
Okay, well, I am back in ARC, so we're going to be firing up Rated ARC soon. We're going to be starting Season 2, probably with some new voices, some old voices. Whoever is in the game and wants to hop on board with us, we're getting that put together. So you'll be hearing more ARC chat. And so I'm having a lot of fun. I'm starting back out on the Ragnarok.
Like a whole new game for you now, right?
Yeah, it is. Honestly, I totally feel like a noob right now. Like, there's so many things that have changed. Like, I ate rare flowers, not knowing that they something now. That shit
they actually, I think, if I'm correct, they attract wild
animals being
animals too
attacked by
now, don't they?
pterodons, by dodos, by dolphins, by...
They finally made the flavor text make sense.
Dear God. Yeah, they finally did, and I was unaware. And I think it was because Goon had, he's a good... I'm living with Goon. We're roommates again on the Ragnarok aberration cluster that Fell. Mr. Fell has fired up for the CRR gang, and he had made a cluster so you could... my whole thought was to start out at Rag on the Ragnarok server, because before my computer, it's so stupid that we never even got, like, we did a whole freaking podcast on a damn game for like almost 2 years, and then we never get to podcast about it when it finally
releases. Yes.
It was like the most anticlimactic climax I've ever seen in my life. So it was horrible. But anyways, we're back, so whatever. And we'll make our own launch episode like it's new. So it was so
What did you think of Aberration? Did you get it?
I know. Bless Malorium's heart. He was like, welcome back, and he bought me the Aberration season ticket thing for a welcome back gift. So thank you very much, Malorium. That was super thoughtful. I was like, what? And I'm always weird. Like, I don't like ever taking gifts or a present, and I was just like, that was so nice. It was so nice.
Yeah, definitely.
Oh, so when the next expansion drops, you'll have that one too, huh?
Aberration yet, because he hasn't even gone into it yet. Goon hasn't. So I thought it'd be kind of cool if we could all go in, all of us noobs.
Get on the cluster.
I am on the cluster, dude.
Okay, yeah,
I am.
I know.
Yeah, I'm there.
Well, I say that, and I'm just getting on it now.
Yeah,
so
today, Phil just whitelisted you. It's a whitelisted CRR Crossroom Rebellion cluster, and so Goon and I, we've been just working day by day. I've been trying to do like YouTube updates every day or every couple days of like how we're going, and like our goal is to like get a feel of Ragnarok first, and then dive into Aberration. So it'd be cool if we could all dive in together. Us CRR members that haven't been on it yet. It'd be kind of cool to go in as noobs again and all that jazz. So I'm excited.
I've tried it out.
What's that?
I've tried it out for a couple of hours, but still super noob at it. So I'm with you.
Yeah, I was talking to Cricket about it. Fel was telling me some stuff about it. I'm really excited about it, but I don't want to just dive in yet until I feel like I've got my bearings on Ragnarok. And Ragnarok, now when I was playing on Ragnarok, I was playing on official. It was doing all that stupid duping, and it was restarting the server, and it was just pissing me off before my computer took a dump. So my experience now in Ragnarok is amazing. I even, for the first couple of days of having my computer back up, I actually was playing on it more, but we'll talk about that more in Rated Arc. So I'm back in Arc. I'm super excited, have a lot of fun. And
Nick, I've been trying not to spoil too much of Aberration for Esme. Just bringing back little little pieces here and there that gets her to want to come over, like start off the Bulb Dog and then the Featherlight.
Dude, scared the crap out of me last night. I just downed like a 270 trike. I was so excited outside Goons and our gate. And all of a sudden I heard this weird whoosh. And I was like, what happened? Just when I walked out, like made my heart stop. And it was freaking dude on his invisible visible
Like
wyvern.
came flying down with a rock drake.
Yeah, it was a rock drake, and it made this crazy noise, and it scared the crap out of me. But then Cricket jumped off. I took him to a tour because I built like little apartments on our base for Goon and I. We wrote apartments, and I was showing him what I had been working on, and he thought I had a glass barrier that overlooked the ocean, but I didn't, and he just dropped off the cliff.
Oh gosh.
He ran off, and I was like, oh, where'd he go? And then all of a sudden he crapped himself right before he jumped off unexpectedly, and then his poop like ricocheted back and landed in front of me on the deck. It was hilarious.
All I know is that I'm glad I had my wingsuit on. Otherwise, that would have been a long drop with a short stop.
Oh
wait.
It was
They have those?
Yeah,
Yes,
the
Aberration
wingsuit
has the glider suits.
They're awesome. I'll say
I gotta
this:
get back to work.
Aberration is the game that they should have released when the game released. Like
I thought they did.
To me,
Didn't
no, they
Or
didn't.
They
No,
came out
no.
after. I haven't
Of
been
course
playing
not.
for a while.
Well,
So.
I thought it was
course
still
not.
early access.
Wasn't it? Wasn't it Aberration?
No,
a
it
mod?
was not. It was
I
still
thought it
no.
was a mod.
No, it's their second
Aberration is the-
official
yeah.
expansion.
Is the basically the next Scorched Earth, right? It's the next official release, and they did not even have it ready for, not even close, for the official release day that they did.
Okay.
They did a fantastic job with it, though. It really is a fantastic map, and it was really creative the way they decided to do it. It made for, so traditionally most maps have a lot of sky space, a lot of like just space dedicated to just the sky and air and the space above the ground, basically. And much of that can feel wasted because there's technically nothing in it. And because Aberration is really a tunnel in the ground, there are so many areas of the map that it makes it feel just much larger. It's much more engaging than any of the other maps. And if you play it right, where you don't have flyers and stuff like that in those maps, the tools that you get, the whole game kind of it takes a new feeling. You can't get your bearings on where things are because your bird's eye view always gave you that. And because you never really get that high up view, especially not in the beginning, you can find yourself feeling lost.
Why don't you
for
just
a while.
come on a freaking Rated Arc and tell us about all this
Oh
stuff?
my God! I'll shut up.
You got it, dude.
I was gonna say you need to talk about this though at some point.
We didn't do that as a group.
Oh yeah.
Well, no, I mean you had to have
talk
watched
about
the
for
video. I mean,
when they actually
granted,
start Rated Arc again.
No, I'm not into spoilers.
No, I didn't give any spoilers. I was just talking about the
No,
map.
she doesn't want to watch the video because of
Don't want
spoilers.
to. I only
You haven't even watched the
generic
video?
little teeny one, but then
Yeah.
I watched one YouTube play, and it was annoying Slipgator. I used to like him, but now he's obnoxious. Like, I feel like he's always on something. Like, he's like,
Hey guys, Slipgator here.
I'm like, whoa, settle down. Take it down a notch.
You know what really sucks for me? The
Oh.
day that Aberration was released, right? I was watching live stream of it at work. Like I had a little window in my my mini screens on my computer, and I just kind of had it playing with some headphones on while I was working, and I was kind of glancing at it. And I walked away for about 20 minutes, 30 minutes. I had a meeting or talking to people or whatever. And I come back and I put my headphones on and I start watching, and I hear like a lot of commotion. And I actually had another tab over it, so I couldn't even. I was just hearing things. I switched back over it, and that stream had ended. Another stream had started, and they were doing the final boss of the game, and I was like, you gotta be fucking kidding me. When I finally figured out what just happened, I'm literally I haven't even gotten to play the damn game yet, and I just watched the ending, and I was just so disappointed with what just happened.
Yeah.
I was like, that suits me, yeah. So I had a little quick burnout in Aberration, and I'm taking a complete hiatus for as long as I feel is necessary.
Well, it sounds like you still have some stuff to get out of your system.
No,
You
it's
need
like
to
a bad
visit us
a
on
bad
Rated Arc.
breakup.
No, it's not. I know where you are right now.
Hey, at least you're not playing PvP anymore.
I know where you are right now because
That game was so bad for my health. I'm sorry.
That was
Dude,
just
for
chose
me,
to
it's
make
me.
it best. You
For
chose
me,
to make
it's
it
just
be.
not. Yeah, no, but to me, it's just my personality can't find a balance between the proper amount of time to play that game.
You went
like,
Lee Harvey
and-
on us. You just
No,
running
but
away
I
from
just
us.
I can't play that game for a little while. Like it's got to be a long time,
That's
and I
okay.
can't get too hooked on making sure I get as far. I mean, like, and again, the game is the game still. Like, you build up a base, you eventually get yourself to the end content.
Dude.
All right,
Game,
I'm sorry.
The game is still new to me. I'm having a blast. Like,
it is a fantastic.
Yeah, I haven't.
Okay,
even
well,
got
while
to
we're
see the
bitching
new,
about Aberration,
I haven't even got to see the new map, like the new editions of Ragnarok. Yeah, I haven't.
The desert that they unlocked is amazing.
Is it?
So.
I'm not gonna lie, I haven't been over there yet. I live like super close to it.
It's literally gonna be virgin. Like it's gonna be like we're new to Ark all over again for a lot of us. So
are they?
Yeah.
Are they gonna make a live action movie of an Ark at some point? I feel like there's so many hints of it.
I don't know.
I just saw there was just one. Anyway, sorry.
It'd be really good if
live
there's a
trailer
podcast
thingy.
called Rated Ark.
Wasn't the live trailer made by some YouTuber?
I can maybe get you a spot.
So we're still rated extra right here. I mean, Luminen is playing Rated Ark. He's even just building.
Pubg is trying to throw some heat at me in server chat.
And he's doing as boring as just building. Look at him. Look at him on the stream.
Did you get my invite, Luminen? It won't even let me. It won't. I don't know if you're getting it.
He muted himself.
He's not even building in the stream. He's demolishing.
Yeah, the only thing I'm trying to figure out is why Luminen is demolishing instead of picking up the stuff. But he's not answering me in the stream.
I mean, I demolished my.
What is that animal? No, I need to not see this video. Ah!
This is just the trailer, man. I mean, come on now. You haven't watched the trailer yet?
That's the animal that I scared the hell out of.
No, Esme, I want to throw my 2 cents in.
Oh, fine.
I want those flying things.
I just want to say, I don't know if this happened for any of you guys, but I get around, 60, 70 FPS on Ragnarok on medium settings. But on Aberration, I'm lucky to get like 15.
I have the exact opposite, dude. I don't know. I think something's wrong with your settings.
It must be.
I get like an immensely better game performance out of Aberration than I do of any other map.
So like I'm trying to buy Aberration dinos from the people who are playing the hell out of it, and Provokes try to throw some heat at me like I'm lazy. Like I legitimately can't play the game.
Too funny.
The rock crates are amazing too.
It's awful.
Funny.
And the flying suits are awesome, really awesome.
God,
too.
yeah, it is. And then I saw Cricket after he jumped off the cliff off my deck. I saw him rock climb back up the edge of our rock face to like get back up to where we are at our base. So that was pretty impressive.
You can do that too.
Yeah, they have a dino that spoiler alert.
There's a lot of cool stuff.
Okay, I'm getting back into this game.
It sounds amazing. And I watched him, and he's been like giving me little bits of crack. Like he comes by and he's like, "Look at my glowing megalosaurus," and like,
look at these glowing dinosaurs.
I just tamed a megalosaurus last night because it was sleeping on the beach in Ragnarok. I'm like, I got to slay my dinosaur, and he's like, "But mine glows because it's from Aberration." And I'm like, swizzle sticks, and he left it there. So when it went nighttime, I would see its amazingness, and I was like, okay.
Yeah, I'm so horrible.
Yeah, I want an Aberration. I want an aberrant Spinosaurus.
I appreciate the little sweetie pie, little bird. Oh, that freaking the bald pug or whatever. He looks like a little pug, like a little bulldog pug.
Yeah.
Oh, so
the bulldog.
That's why I asked you what your favorite color schemes were, because I had a ton of mutations from the mutator.
Adorable.
So I was like, what do I have here that matches all of her favorite colors? Oh, I got it right here, this bulldog.
Yeah, you had it. This is red and cyan. I love those. That's a cool mix. So, all right. I'm gonna
okay, Esme, what's this other game that you were going to talk
about? Yeah, I was
about?
going to say, what are we going to talk about in Rated Ark?
Yes, YLands. I had my eye on, because we were talking about that in Discord when I came back, and Promo was like, I was like, I don't know, should I get Aberration, should I get YLands? I don't know. YLands is an early access game right now on Steam, but it's pretty freaking polished so far. Granted, I haven't played that much, because I recently just got it, like a couple days ago, and it was only $15 on Steam. And where are you? It's made by Bohemia Interactive. YLands is a unique sandbox adventure game which allows you to explore your creativity. It is also a platform for making custom games, ranging from simple scenarios to sophisticated game modes. Explore the open poly world of YLands by yourself or along with your friends. You can gather resources, build ships, sail to other YLands, climb mountains, descend to dark depths to find, use, or craft hundreds of items and objects. You can seamlessly switch between single and multiplayer modes while exploring uncharted YLands. So it says it lets you live your childhood fantasies and create your new adventures. So right now it is, like I said, it's in early access. It's on Steam. Just gonna click the Steam link. It is
Sounds
on
like
Steam.
Minecraft.
You know, I've heard that it, like, on some of the reviews, it says, like, it sounds like Minecraft mixed with, like, another, like, other people referencing other games, not just Minecraft, because it's very pixely looking like Minecraft.
Like a Craft the World or something.
Yeah, but it's more open. Like it's a it kind of almost, because I played Portal Knights and I like Portal Knights, but Portal Knights is more restrictive because you're literally on like little globes of land. What reminded me of Portal Knights is because when you enter in single player, you have to name your world. You can play by yourself. You can build. So coming from somebody who's played Portal Knights and Ark and have not played a lot of Minecraft, I could see the similarities, although the controls are not the same, but you can, like, there's animals you can tame, you can get pets, like, if you're watching the video on Steam, they have some where you and your friends are riding horses, you can actually create games that you can invite your friends to come and play, like, it seems pretty amazing, but the stuff that reminds me of, like, the early days I was reading some of the reviews, I'm a review reading addict, and like, I see it, and it has mostly positive reviews. It came out December 6, 2017, and for early access. But one thing I really thought was cool, coming from Ark early access, like 2+ years ago, what I thought was cool with this early access game is the fact that it already has a pretty decent tutorial. It already says, hey, here's the basics. And I bitched about that with Ark for a long time because it felt like they just didn't even have that option. Like, they had a button, but they didn't ever have, like, do this, just some basics to get you started. Well, where YLands has that, or you can skip it. So
how is it compared to Chivalry's tutorial?
Oh my god. You had to ask me that.
He's going
I
for
did.
It's better because freaking Chivalry, you're like, go over there and then do that one, then you gotta unlock that one, and I kept having to go.
You kept going back into it like 3 times.
Oh my god! I had to give you an A+ for your patience because I didn't know what the hell I was doing.
Oh, man.
In my thought, I was like, why is it letting me go back to the same thing? Like, it never was like, hey, chick, slow your roll. You've already been here. I was like, come on back. And I was like, what the hell? So, man, we had a blast though when we finally got out of
such a
there.
good night.
We need to
Anyway.
do that as a group again, because that was, when I was looking
Yeah,
through
that
my
game is
YouTube,
fun.
God, it's so much fun with a group.
Anyway, sorry for derailing you.
That was so much funny. I watched our video, and that's why I had to relink it to you, because I laughed my butt off. You're like, we were doing pretty good. And I remember it got down to you and, like, 2 guys. Like, it was like 4 of us. I got killed. There were you and me against 2 others, and then I got
I think you were watching me overhead and trying to call out where the guys were coming from.
That was hilarious. Like, a guy's coming under the bridge, and you're like, it was funny.
It's like, I died anyway, oh well.
Yeah, exactly. It was awesome.
The sound effects make that game.
They really do.
The sound effects of people dying
dude, we found out
is so realistically hilarious. It's just perfect. It's well done.
Yeah, we had some jackwagon who was on our team running around killing our.
Yeah. Well, they got kicked eventually, so.
Yeah, his name was like Carrot something. I remember his name. When you're on my shit list, you're on my shit list. I will remember you till I die.
Oh gosh.
In my last breath.
Not even just till they die, just until you die too.
Yes, till we all die. I will remember Carrot screwed us over in Chivalry 2017.
Oh gosh.
Yeah, so yeah, I definitely a better tutorial in YLands to bring it back around. So I just logged in. I was running around. I made on single player. I made a little character. Right now, everything like customization's generic. You got like 3 hairstyles and some different facial things. But what can you really do with pixels? It's a lot better. It's not 8-bit like Stardew Valley where you really got to squint. You know, like Terraria or Stardew Valley. It's not like that. It's
I never had to squint in Terraria.
Dude,
just got a real good imagination.
I'm like, well, that looks like an outfit, but kind of not.
Okay.
Yeah. So YLands, it's $15. It's early access. It came out December 6th. It's mostly positive reviews now. It is single player. They do have multiplayer official servers. What I have read, and this is reminding me of the craziness on the Ark when they first came out with stuff like that with the multiplayer official services that we lamented over and over and over again about people building prison camps and boxes over spawn points. So apparently that's a thing right now. I haven't had the time or desire because I've been playing a lot of Ark to do that. So But yeah, so that's a thing. Everybody's complaining about that. I'm like, yeah, that's just par for the course, you know? So there's single player.
We're used to it.
Yeah, exactly. There's single player, multiplayer, online multiplayer, co-op, all this stuff. So you can do all that. So it seems like it has a lot. I thought it seemed pretty polished just for jumping in compared to my experience with Ark. You know, like I hadn't ran into a lot of bugs yet, but I also haven't tried to. I think the boats. I've heard some stuff going on with the boats. Like people build a boat and the next day it's gone. Blah 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 blah. Normal early access headaches and stuff like that. But it seemed cool enough to me. I'm a social person. I like to be able to have like a sandbox. I don't really do well with I feel claustrophobic when I'm trapped, you know, like in a little world or I'm restricted in any way. And that kind of transfers over into my real life. In my real life and my gaming, I kind of approach things the same way. So I kind of like the openness of this. Plus the community that is a possibility, you know, and it looks like a cool game that you could get in with your friends and play, and like the same reasons I like Ark. So I thought that was cool.
So is your basement more open than the bedroom was, or?
Oh my God, yes! I'm downstairs now. I have turned our when we moved in, the people ahead of us must have been I think they were swingers, because who has 2 kids and makes a whole freaking bar in their basement and has a hot tub? Swingers. I think they were swingers.
Well, who know how to live, that's who.
I know, right?
Yeah,
I think
don't
that's
judge.
What they did.
Kidding.
I wish I had a hot tub.
I'm taking advantage. I turned their bar into my computer desk. So
I can't believe that. You got to keep the bar, man.
Amazing. No, I have a box of wine. That counts.
You have a bar.
You doubt me, sir.
A box of wine with the
Oh, believe me, we've heard about the box of wine before, Esme.
surgical tube up as a straw.
I have pink Moscato on tap. So, I have a spout if I so desire, but I also have sparkling water and some Fig Newtons, you know, to even me out. But I'm gourmet over here, you know. But anyways, back to I
started a low carb diet, kind of, but that's neither here nor there. So you know,
I'm all carb now. Anyways, no, I've been doing.
I had
we're not
rice
going to talk about
noodles
that
the other day.
So yeah, YLands, and then I just tossed in. All right, so in our Discord, our CRR Discord, Kamikaze entered in the Pubg channel some mobile Pubg that's coming out on mobile, it's maybe a new version. It was all in the foreign language. What was that about? I don't know.
Like a Chinese bootleg release.
Yeah, it looks like very Chinese Pubg.
It's literally Chinese.
I was gonna say it looks pretty much exactly like PUBG, with exact same layout and everything.
English on the entire
it's a Fortnite.
He said it was PUBG. It's officially from PUBG, and it's right now in the Chinese App Store, but I don't know.
But not ours.
No, I was gonna say the one that whoever is playing on the Google Play Store, Rules of Survival, it looks like they stole everything directly from the real game.
Yeah, I Googled it because I tried to figure out what he was, because he just showed us a screenshot. He didn't give us a link. So I'm like, where's he getting this from? And obviously I don't read Chinese or whatever that language is in, so I had nothing to go on.
I think it was Korean, but actually I didn't look too close, though. Anyway.
So I Googled it. I entered in mobile version of Public Battlegrounds, or PUBG. I did both. And I came up with an article that said, hey, there's going to be a mobile version of of PUBG coming out soon. But if you can't wait to get your hands on that, this is the next best thing. So I clicked on it, and it took me to Rules of Survival, and I downloaded it real quickly, and I wanted to see how smooth it was, and it was pretty impressive. And it was
I was gonna say it looks pretty good.
It was
for a mobile game, damn.
Dude, it was slick. It was slick.
Put that on the Switch.
It was pretty impressive. It said on my Google, on my Android store, and I think it said it was on Rules of Survival. It's on iOS and Android from what the article I was reading said. So I clicked on it, I installed it, and I hopped right in. And right now, if I had to be a chick, like a chick, I had to be I couldn't be a girl in the game. I could only be a dude, so I named myself Broseph Sky or whatever. And everybody looks the same. So we all running around with our crew cut brunette with her little blue t-shirt running around. So, but it was so cool though, because I got in, they match you with like people of your ranking, so a bunch of us noobs. The minute I load in, we're like in a waiting room and we all run around, start punching each other, pop, 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 pop. And it was hilarious because like I ran at the same guy that ran at me. We started punching each other and getting all fired up, getting ready to go in. So I keep feeling like a little lobby, and I had zero lag. I got a new cell phone because I had broke mine. That was another thing that happened to me. But my phone was old and I broke it, blah, blah, and I went for a while without one. So I finally got a new one, and I just went with a Moto. So it's hello Moto, and you can like add things to it that I probably won't, but the option is there. I like options. So, it played smooth on our wireless. It was I had no lag. I ran around in the world. It's so cool too. It drops you from the sky. I've never played PUBG though, but I've heard and I've watched. And it dropped me from the sky to parachute. I landed. I ran into the nearest little buildings. I scoured around. I found some stuff, backpacks and a hand grenade and a Molotov cocktail or whatever. And I was running and I ran down the road. I found a motorcycle. I hopped on. I took that all the way into another vehicle town. And then some dude was following me. I jumped off. I ran inside. I got another weapon, turned around, and he sniped me through a damn window and it knocked me up. Poof, I'm dead. So then I could at least, it gives you the option to like leave and like requeue, or you can watch the rest of the game. So I ended up watching my killer.
Oh, they let you spectate the game?
Yeah, I ended up spectating my killer because dude was at the same setup. My motorcycle where he dropped it was right where he was at. Like he was on it. So it was fun for my first experience in.
That's definitely definitely the PUBG experience.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's pretty much how it goes.
Maybe if you're bad.
I am.
You know what?
I
Speak
don't
for
hide
yourself,
it.
Gigabyte.
I don't hide it. I know I suck at PUBG.
Yeah.
But you know what? I do still have fun playing it when I'm with my friends.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I find it's more fun with friends, but I'll talk about it later.
Okay.
For sure.
So,
but it definitely.
Yeah. Oh, go ahead.
Oh, sorry. I was just watching the video, and like it definitely looks like PUBG. With like the kind of almost cartoony Fortnite look to the graphics. So
no, I think they look very mobile version of PUBG.
Yeah.
If you ask me.
Really
I mean, it's pretty close.
You have like I think they had like little things like you had to unlock prizes each day you log in. They did the typical like mobile thing. You
like the
log
freemium
in,
thing.
Yeah, it was really cool. I didn't have like any ads pop up. Granted, I only played a couple matches. I enjoyed myself. So, I mean, for being a free-to-play mobile game, I was impressed. So
yeah.
How many players did you notice like were dropping out of the sky?
When I loaded in on the beach, there was probably like 8 of us. But then it forms the match, and then it dropped us in. But I got to pick where and when I wanted to drop. So
Right, but I was just wondering how many, because the PUBG is like 100 players, but I'd be really surprised
see 100
if you can get that many with a mobile game.
The one clip I'm seeing on this video that keeps playing on repeat, there was one of them that showed 45 left. So I don't know. So you can at least have 45 people on there.
They might just be adding us in, like, because I imagine it's on mobile. It's super easy to pop in. It might just.
Well, see, games like this, I don't think they let you go in the middle of a match.
Oh, we'll see. So maybe not. Yeah, I know there was not that many people on, unless they have us in different loading zones. And that would be
there's gonna be multiple servers.
Big. Yeah, the map looked pretty big.
Well, that's one thing they did with optimization of PUBG is because it was lagging out when they tried to load all 100 people into the same little island area, the starting point. Well, basically a waiting room. They made it so that you've got, say, 20 people in this loading area and then 20 people in another loading area, so they're not all.
Oh, they instanced it, or they moved them to a different location, or how did that work?
One person would be at. One group of people would be at the starting islands, right? And then another group of people would be at like the ruins, right? So you got, it's kind of split it up so that it wasn't, because it was bogging down their servers too bad.
I guess I haven't seen that yet. I haven't played in a while.
I played the other day.
Cool.
All right. So my next mobile game I added, what I was playing when I could not log in to a computer or internet and all that jazz was World of Prandis. It is surprisingly if I could say if World of Warcraft was put on a mobile and then called World of Prandis, like that's what this is. Like this, I know us as a group, we have looked for like an MMORPG, something that we could run in, hop in, make a character, run around on mobile. This is that game. I was pleasantly surprised. It is a real, and it says in the description, it is a real MMORPG. There are arenas, battlefields, dungeons, raids, seamless open world, free flight through the whole world, and there is. Like, I have yet to find the edge. What?
This one's mobile again?
Yeah, I have this on Android. I don't have iOS, but I don't know. I think
I'm Android, so I'm with you.
Yeah, when
Got the better operating system.
It's
Definitely.
pretty neat. Android has it in the Google Play Store for free download. I haven't had any ads pop up. I think it's more or less you can get like vanity items, stuff like that. But Yogi in the group wanted to try to see if it was on iOS. It's not technically on iOS yet, but you can do that little like direct download, something. I don't know any of that stuff, but I guess there's a way to do it, but it's not on the Apple Store at this time. But there's like a link. If you Googled it, like there's a way. I don't know if any of that makes sense. I don't know if it has something. I don't know, but there was a way. Somebody said that there was.
Probably some kind of emulation layer
there's
thingy,
some sort
but
of something file
you gotta do
can
weird
download
stuff for it.
and run it or whatever. Yeah,
Talk to the coders, they'll know.
I know, that's what I said. I'm not, I envy the brainiacs. I'm not one. So it's, that's their forte. But it was really impressive. You get to get in. And what I thought was really interesting is you actually are tribed by gender. Like, so don't think you're going to roll in and be able to pick, like, if you want to be a dude or a chick, and then pick your class or your tribe or whatever. You literally, like, they separate the men and the women. And then, so it's so funny. I was like, this is so weird. There's 3 tribes, the Haru, the Human, and the Turk, and they're separated by gender.
Did you pronounce that Human?
Oh my god! Human. Holy mother of God.
I was good. Thought that was intentional.
That is hilarious. Oh my god! Human. The most easiest word. Oh my god.
It's okay. It's
I
great.
assumed the race was HOOMAN.
That's what I was thinking, but
Promo, I think it's time for you to play his clip where he says, "I think."
Oh come on, Esme. It's because I missed you. I gotta give you grief.
God, I'm glad you did because it's.
I'm kind of dumb.
I mean,
he's like, yes, somebody else said something. Believe it to me, dude. We're neck and neck.
Oh man.
So I'm just gonna make up my own words now. The 6 classes are warriors, paladins, hunters, asusuns, mushes, and werelocks.
Wait, what was the second to last one?
Mooges, they're mages.
Oh, okay.
There's warriors, paladins, hunters, assassins, mages, and warlocks.
It's that time of night, isn't it? Yep, it's that time of night. Okay, here we go.
Too, man. It's crazy. All right.
It's that box of wine, I bet.
God, no, dude. I've had like two small little glasses, maybe. All right.
Maybe.
Plus monsters and 2,000 users are in the world normally at one time, and it's cool. You can hop in just like World of Warcraft. You could go fishing. There's quests. There's crafting. I was so impressed. I have never seen something that emulated a game that's been out now for like over 10 years. Something like this, but it's called World Apprentice. I think it's a Korean game. It's Korean. It's produced in Korea or whatever, but it's on the Google Play. So everything is kind of like the quest things are a little sketchy. When it's moved over to English, it's a little funny, but it's super cool. Super cool. Job skills, there's mining, gathering, fishing, cooking, playing instruments. You can be a bard. Real-time field, PvP, arenas, and dungeons. It's really neat. So if you're looking for like a real true MMORPG, definitely check out World Apprentice on the Google Play Store. It is free to play, so there's really no reason why not to. But the downside is I did say, like, if you create a guild, everybody has to be one gender. So, like, I have a dude warrior named Warelska or Warrior Sky or something, Warski or something. It was like some weird one. And then I have like a chick hunter, so it's funny.
That's an interesting decision considering all the stuff that's on, with gender related stuff these days. It's just
like, that's what really floored me. I was just like, This is so interesting.
They
that
couldn't afford the cost to make, a model character for each gender, I guess.
They just separated us. Like, if you're a chick, you're over on that island. If you're a dude, you're over on that. It's so different. I've never seen that in a game before, so I thought that was interesting. But, so yeah, those are my 2 mobile games I wanted to share with everybody, and is that it? Is that? Yeah, maybe. Yep, I think it is. Willektron, it is your turn.
Oh, man.
Or shall
honestly,
I say,
like, I don't know.
Willetronian, or...
Professor Willektron.
Honestly, I don't even know where to start. I've been all over the place. The biggest part of the problem is I've subscribed to Humble Monthly, and so I get a deluge of games coming in, and I don't play half of them. But the biggest thing with that is that there's usually one of the preview games that looks interesting, or I already know I want, and it's only $12, and I'm like, okay, I'll get the pack, and I get some extra games too. Cool. I don't know if I've talked about this on the podcast. I know I've talked about it in Discord a little bit before, but that's kind of the way I've gone with it. So the first game I have on my list that I've been trying is Quantum Break, and this is one of the games, I believe it came out with last month's Humble Bundle. I think it was December's. Really interesting concept. It's a Microsoft Studios game, I believe. I don't know who the developer specifically was. So basically it's a game about, it sounds generic. Guys get time travel superpowers, and it's these two friends, and one of them becomes a supervillain, and one of them becomes the hero who has to stop him, kind of thing.
The developers Remedy Entertainment, just for posterity. Yeah, sorry.
Yeah, that's fine. I'm glad you brought that up. But basically, so premise sounds kind of generic, also sounds kind of cool. But the interesting thing is that, as far as I can tell, all of the character models are modeled after the actors who do their voices for 2 reasons. For one main reason is that as you play the game and make decisions, like, you affect how the different endings that come out. Interlace in with the gameplay at certain times are actually mini, like, TV episodes with the actual actors, essentially doing a TV show, but the outcome changes based on the actions you take in the game. So that's really interesting. So it's like 22-minute TV episodes. So it's a different game. It's really interesting.
Is that the live action part, like where there's the actual?
Yeah. So they have like live action TV stuff in the middle of the game, which is interesting. Like, it's in between, like, chapters or whatever.
Are the two mediums kind of stark? Do they kind of stand out too odd between each other, or
it's not actually too odd, because they've actually done a really good job with the modeling on the computer graphics side. Like, it's I feel like it's really well done. I was a little bit. I was kind of surprised when I found out, because there were references in, like, the loading screen text for, stuff changes in the live action show. I was like, what live action show? What is up with this? And then, at the end of the first chapter, it's like, oh, they actually recorded a show for this to interlace with the game. So interesting
it's like
concept.
Back in Sega CD, a la Sega CD, when they first were able to incorporate video into games, they combined the 2 mediums. You know what I mean? There was a few games that came out that
they kind of did that with Command and Conquer, the original one. They had live action footage for that as well. And that was like.
Oh, go ahead. Sorry.
I was gonna say, Command and Conquer live action footage was, like, really grainy and kind of hard to see and stuff. But anyway, go ahead, Cricket.
I was gonna say, looking at that footage, I wonder which Ashmore twin that is playing that.
I wonder too. I think it's the same. If I remember correctly, I think it's probably the same guy that played, like, Iceman in the X-Men movies, or one of the X-Men movies. But I don't know. I haven't looked it up. But I thought of that too. But yeah, really interesting game. I actually really recommend it. The story is interesting. The way they present it, essentially, when you're from the perspective of the hero, it's all computer graphics and stuff, and then they show like some of the perspective of the villainous corporation through the live action sequences. So really interesting concept. I like it a lot. I haven't finished the game yet, but so far I've enjoyed the time that I've spent playing it. It's going to be a relatively short game compared to like most other things. Like you're not going to put in, it's an action game. It's got a defined story. You've got some collectibles to find and stuff like that. But there's a limited amount of time that you can.
I feel like it's on rails at all. Like, is it very guided?
It's not open world. It is a very
okay.
mission and level oriented game, but it doesn't. I mean, it's an action game. It's like, okay, we're gonna do these things, have to accomplish this, and some of the things that you do change what happens throughout the course of the game.
And that's Quantum Break, and it's selling for $40 on Steam. What you're playing it on the PC, I assume, right?
Yep, I'm on PC. And I got it for $12 with a bunch of other games in the
Humble Bundle. Yeah.
That's how I got it too. I just haven't played it.
So yeah, if you have it, I recommend it. If you don't have it, maybe wait for a sale. I don't know if I'd pay for it. It is a very well done game. So if I had to pay for it, I would be willing to pay $40 for it. But wait for a sale, is my recommendation.
Yeah, there's always good Steam sales, at least 4 or 5 times a year. This may not be on it, but eventually they get there.
Yep. And so another game that I've been playing on the PS3 actually that I got through PlayStation Plus however long ago is Yakuza 4. Now this is a really kind of a crazy game. I don't know if any of you guys have played any of the games from the Yakuza series, but really they're really kind of weird. I mean, obviously it's a Japanese game. I think is published by Sega, but just kind of weird, wacky. Crazy thing. You follow the viewpoints of a few different characters that have ties to the Yakuza in Tokyo.
Is this like a JRPG style game? Like,
so
what's
it
the
is
gameplay like?
It is essentially like an open world-ish action beat 'em up type thing, except
okay.
Again, so it's
like
open world. You can go out and
Streets
kind of choose the kinds of things you do. Like if you've played Sleeping Dogs, it's kind of like that.
Sleeping Dogs, okay.
Except when you get into it's like random encounters on the streets almost, and you have a little fighting sequence, and you've got to beat up the guys, and then you continue on. So it's not like open dynamic fighting.
It's not like the Assassin's Creed stuff.
No.
So the fights go into like an engagement mode of some type.
Yes,
it's
exactly. Essentially, it's like instant, and that applies to Yakuza 4 and I assume earlier games. I'm not sure if they've mixed that up for the later games, Yakuza 5, anything like that. But
is this a more recent release, or is this an older?
So Yakuza 4, I don't know when that one specifically came out. Let me look it up real quick.
March 18th, 2010
yeah, it's a little on the old side.
North America, March 15th, 2011.
So it's been out for a long time. This is something you're blowing the dust off of on your collection.
Yeah, exactly. Again, I got it through PlayStation Plus. They released it as a free game through that.
Oh, okay.
And I've just been adding things to my collection over time. I was like, hey, this looks interesting. Let me play it. But
is it English dubbed or is it?
No, so it is
subtitled?
subbed. The first game did have an English dub, and it was just so terrible the developers decided never to do that again. It's wacky. It's got a crazy storyline. There are some heartwarming and heart-wrenching moments, but there's also a lot of crazy stuff. Like you can walk around, you can go inside an arcade and play arcade games that they made specifically for putting in this game.
So
like,
the world is rich in that regard, you're saying?
Yeah, I would like for a 2010 game especially, or a 2011 game, like there is so much to do. Like you could lose track of yourself and not even go through the main story, just like a lot of open world games. It does feel a little more limited being the age that it is, but there's just so many like side things to do, and you can walk around and they've got host clubs or hostess clubs, I should say, and stuff like that, and you talk to people, and it's really,
is this kind of like a GTA? game in that sense, or is the fighting?
No,
because
again, the open world stuff is limited in a way because you just walk around, you don't drive cars or anything.
Oh, okay.
Anything like that. But I don't know. It's one of those things you kind of have to play to really get, but it's wacky. It's a lot of fun. It's a fun and kill some time.
What is the real the 30-second synopsis of the story? Like what's happening in the story?
Are you there?
You're a Yakuza member. That's it.
Yeah,
That's
yeah. So so in this game you don't start out as.
I feel like he's cutting out.
He's definitely cutting out.
I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Can you hear me now? Better.
Yeah, I think
Can you hear me now?
Our problem was as you were talking, we just couldn't hear you.
Oh, give me a second.
Been a second.
Is that better?
No.
Any better?
I think
okay.
so.
I'm sorry. How long has that been going on?
No, I mean just
Just started.
recently. It was like a couple
okay.
cutoffs. That's it.
30-second synopsis. You play from the viewpoints of several different characters that have ties to the Yakuza, and in this particular game, you start out as essentially a loan shark, except this is a loan shark with a good heart. He doesn't charge interest or require any collateral. He just requires people to do a particular task to essentially prove to him that they will pay him back, or at least have the right intentions about what they're going to use their money for. But he has ties to the Yakuza. He knows people in it, and he gets caught up in some infighting in between different factions in the Yakuza. So that's how it starts. It's interesting. But I think it's a lot of fun, and once I finish up with that, I plan to play some of the other games in the series as well. We have, let's see, Sea of Thieves beta. Not going to talk about this much, but Gigabyte can chime in a little bit. I played a little bit. I didn't really have anyone to play with, so I tried to get on my little dinghy that they gave me for a single player, and I drove around the seas for a while. The one thing that hit me with this game was the physics simulation for the water is incredible.
Oh, really?
I love it.
And you think
amazing.
that is because is most of the gameplay on the water?
Yes, yes, it is, and I would say that is exactly why. But it's just incredible.
It looks pretty live. Actually,
they've got like big rolling waves and all sorts of crazy stuff going on, and it looks amazing and it feels amazing, and I think I would really enjoy the game. But it's just not a lot of fun to play by yourself. So,
I agree with that.
But yeah, so the first I tried to take my ship out a couple times and find treasure and such, and both times I went to an island, I didn't get my anchor down fast enough, or the sails pulled up fast enough, and I ran it aground, and the ship always sank. So that's pretty much my experience with Sea of Thieves.
Gigabyte has a lot of experience with Sea of Thieves, don't you?
Yes.
I wouldn't say a lot, but
some.
I mean, he pretty much summed it up. It feels really, really nice.
Ooh, Big Blue said crossplay from Xbox and PC worked good. So
that's a plus. Well, and I think Yogi's, if I'm not mistaken, Yogi's played some of it too. I thought he was going to be on here tonight.
They scheduled him to work early or something, and over the weekend, so he couldn't make it, but he was excited to talk about it.
Dragon Ball FighterZ, we've talked about a little bit, so I won't go into too much more about that, but I'm just super impressed, like I said before, with how much attention to detail they put into it and how much love they've shown for just all the little minute details and animations and all the different abilities and all of this kind of stuff. So I'm just super impressed with that as a fighting game. So fighting games in general, I have gotten into actually, I think since we last recorded a podcast. A friend said, hey, there's this fighting game called Blaze Blue. You should get it on PS4 and play with me. And I was like, oh, okay, I'll check it out, see how it goes. I'm, not much for fighting games. I'm not super good at them or anything. So I got it, started messing around with it. And I also had Injustice from when that was available on PS Plus. So I had messed around with that a little bit too. I was like, okay, I can't really do this. I can't get the inputs in right. And of course I'm, just using like a regular controller. At this stage, and so I decide, okay, if I'm going to do this, I'm going to do it right. I'm going to get myself a fight stick. And so I went on Amazon, I bought myself a fight stick, and it completely changed things for me. Like most of it is like I just couldn't put put in the commands accurately on a on the controller, and I didn't really like
the
using
half
the
circles
D-pad.
and stuff like that.
Yeah, half circles. Even like just doing back and forth, like in Injustice, you do with a couple of Batman special moves, especially going back and forth. I would always go a little up or a little down, and so it would do something like make him jump up in the air, or do something I didn't want it to do, and I was like, I can't do this, so I bought myself a fight stick, and since then, it's great. I am hooked, and I'm a big fan of fighting games. So I've messed with several different fighting games since then. So I played some Injustice. I played some Blaze Blue, which is also an incredible game.
I think it's made by the same people.
Yeah,
Dragon
Arc
Ball
System
FighterZ,
Works.
yeah.
Yeah, Arc System Works is, as far as I can tell, one of the best developers of specifically anime fighting games that is active right now, because they've done Guilty Gear, they've done Blaze Blue, they did I don't know how many people care about it, but they did the Persona fighting game, the couple Persona fighting games, and yeah, they've done Fighter Z. So I'm a big fan of them as a company and the way that they make their fighting games, because they're always really high quality. So yeah, fighting games, I'm a fan. I've been playing them quite a bit recently, and I think if you are interested in them, and you're kind of frustrated by the controls, give a arcade stick a try and see how it feels after that.
Blaze Blue has a little bit more of a of like an RPG element, doesn't it?
Well, okay, so yeah, Blaze Blue. So basically, most fighting games from Arc System Works have a really in-depth, detailed story mode to them, and it's essentially like a visual novel, where you play through you make some choices, but it's a lot of text and reading with pictures of the backgrounds and characters and stuff like that. And so you can have multiple different endings, and then at points during the storyline, you get into fights with one of the characters that you encounter or whatever. So a character you're following gets into fight, and then you play as one of the characters to progress through the story. Just fighting at different points. So. So I think Prometheus is
they get up here in price.
Yeah, they get expensive. I got one of the cheaper ones. It was like $60. It was Mayflash F300, something like that.
The first, I searched on Amazon, and the first one I found is $59.90 Canadian, and then the next one is $99.99, so $100.
Well, yeah. So these are like the same kinds of sticks and buttons that you would use, like they have in actual arcade.
Right? Mm-hmm. This one, the Razer one's $259.99.
That's not surprising though, with Razer being
So it really depends on what you want to pay for with those. Like for the level that I'm at and what I'm doing, I've found that what I bought is entirely sufficient. And the other thing is too that you can get a cheaper stick, and you can, like, if you really want to, you can upgrade and replace parts with high quality parts and stuff like that. So just coming in,
technical difficulty,
but it certainly makes things a lot easier to input and figure out and execute commands in a fighting game. So I've had a lot more fun with it since then. I found one on
AliExpress. I don't know how much it is. It's $19.
Oh boy.
Oh, I would not recommend that. That does not look sufficient. I'm sorry.
I also took a gamble, like punching in Google cheap fighting sticks.
Oh gosh.
It was gonna be a crapshoot from the very beginning.
I'm curious now, cheap. But
oh man, but yeah. So so if you're interested in fighting games, I do think you. Now, one of the things that I've heard is that Dragon Ball Fighter Z or Fighters, I don't know how you're supposed to say it.
Fighter Z, yeah.
That you don't necessarily have to have a fight stick to play it effectively, because most of the inputs that they have you do aren't like super complicated as far as the control stick itself goes. There are button combinations that you can put in and stuff like that, and putting combos in certain sequences, but they don't require they don't require complex execution. So I think if you one of the things I really like about Dragon Ball Fighters or Fighter Z is that it gives you a good ground level experience to come in on. It's essentially a gateway drug. It's gonna get you hooked on fighting games because it's pretty incredible.
The price
Anyway.
is a little high, if I might add. The price for a fighting game, I don't think ever justified the full retail price, and they kind of went above and beyond. I mean, I think they have like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 editions of this game, or 7 editions. It's a little, it's a little overboard, and I think the most expensive one's like $150, $160 or something. It's a little crazy with that, but I think they did a great job with the game.
Okay. I'm trying to look. I don't know exactly what the different editions are. I would say like the different editions
different fighters.
they add some extra stuff. You can get the extra fighters from a DLC or like the base level. Let's see, they have like 3 different things here. Okay, yeah, some of them just let you unlock things early. Some of them let you, that you can unlock by progressing through the story or paying in the in-game store, like with they call them, what is it, Zenny or something that
it would
that
be
you
Zenny.
can earn. Yeah. That you can earn and unlock things in the game. So you don't necessarily have to get those packs in order to get the full experience of the game. It's just if you want it now and you don't want to have to unlock it by essentially grinding, then you can just buy it straight out. So that's all there is to that. And for the quality that this game represents, I'd say the $60 standard, regular edition is actually a really good price. So. Moving on to, I got a PlayStation VR.
Nice.
Which is pretty crazy.
Do tell.
Yeah, I really like it. I played it at a friend's house first and tried Until Dawn: Rush of Blood. And I'm not really much for horror games. I did play some Until Dawn. I haven't finished it yet, but just because I was playing at a friend's place and hadn't finished it. But so this is kind of related, but Rush of Blood is essentially like you are on a little roller coaster thing, and you have 2 guns in your hands, and you shoot at things as you go through, and there's some jump scares and stuff like that. But just the level of immersion that you have, and like people do complain sometimes about the PlayStation Move controllers because those are like a holdover from PS3 era stuff. That they're still using for your VR on the PS4, but honestly, for what the game is, it's a pretty immersive and a pretty cool experience. One of the things that I like about the PlayStation VR over the couple other headsets I've tried, because I've tried I've tried a couple. I've tried the Oculus Rift Development Kit 2. I did try the actual release version at a games conference once, but most of the time that I spent in a VR headset was the Oculus Rift DK2. And one of the things that stuck out to me at that time, and this is obviously better with the release version, was that the pixel count's kind of low. There's some gap, like the gaps between the pixels when you've got it up so close to your face, looking at it through a lens is a little annoying. They call it the screen door effect because it looks like you're looking out through a screen door at the world because of the gaps between the pixels. And one of the first things that you
really
notice,
on the VR on the PlayStation VR you see the
no.
gaps?
So one of the things that you notice with the PlayStation VR is that doesn't happen. Because of how they organize and lay out the pixels. They have like subpixels that are not organized in a grid pattern, so it breaks it up and it makes it so that you don't have a grid pattern that you have to try to stare through. So that's one of the first things you notice. The resolution isn't necessarily like as high as the release versions of the Oculus DK2, the Oculus Rift, the release version, or the HTC Vive, but it makes up for it by the fact that you don't necessarily feel like you're having to look through something. You're just there. So it's really immersive. It's one of the more immersive VR headsets that I've tried.
So have you gotten a chance to try the HTC Vive?
I haven't yet. I want to. I've heard it's really good. It's from what I've heard, it is the best headset currently available for PC. but I don't know because I haven't been able to try it. But I would tend to believe it. I've read enough good reviews on it that I would be inclined to believe that.
Okay, yeah, because I've been thinking about getting that one. And
talk to Yogi. I think he has one.
Okay, yeah, I was messaging to my one friend who has the Rift, and he was, because he got the Rift right when it came out. And he's like, if I had to do it again, I'd probably get the Vive at this point just because of game support.
Yeah, exactly.
Since it's out by Steam, there's many more games available.
Well, and there's the whole room scale thing where you can set up the little lighthouses that they have, so that you can actually move around a bit instead of it just being a stationary thing with the Vive and stuff like that. So, so there's definitely that advantage as well. But as far as having a VR headset that you can just plug into a console and play some games on, the PSVR is great.
Would you say that Skyrim VR is worth the play through again in VR mode? Is it?
Oh yes.
Does it feel better? Yeah.
Oh yes. I'm gonna geek out a little bit over this because I played Skyrim first starting on the Xbox when my roommate in college bought it. And so we took turns playing on it there, and I then played it on the PC for a while, and I played through the full main quest line, did a lot of the side quests and stuff like that, had a blast with that. Fell off after a while. Got the Legendary Edition when it was on sale on Steam, and then which eventually turned into the remaster because they gave you that for free if you had it on Steam, and started playing it again a little bit there. So at that point I played it like 2.5 times, something like that, or a time and a half, something. So I've put some serious hours into Skyrim, and I not as much as a lot of people, but for me playing a game, it represents a fairly significant portion of the games I played. But when you play Skyrim VR and you put on the headset, it's like, okay, sure, the graphics are not the remastered version. They're essentially the old version graphics because with the VR, the PS4 can't really handle like updated graphics and all of that. But honestly, you find when you get in there that doesn't really matter. You're in Skyrim, you're holding a sword or a fireball or a shield or whatever in your hands, and you're there, and you are the Dragonborn.
So I see that you don't actually move your character. It you point in.
There are actually multiple input or not multiple input methods. Well, there are multiple input methods, but there are multiple input and movement methods. So you can either do it with the straight. You can either do it with the straight DualShock 4 controller, which is what a lot of people like, because you can move around normally and things like that. You can also use the Move controllers, and there are two different methods that you can use with that. One is the teleport mode, which is there in case people get motion sickness from moving around in VR and stuff like that. So you can just kind of teleport your character from place to place, and move around that way. Or you can do direct movement where you hold down a button on the left stick and tilt it in the direction that you want to go. And so that's what I do most of the time, because most of the reason that I wanted to play Skyrim VR was for the motion controls. And I tell you, like, some people have complained about it, and sure, there are a couple improvements that can be made, but honestly, being able to just like throw fireballs left and right and shoot lightning bolts, and just where you're looking and where you want to aim, and walk around, it's incredible. I plan to play through the entire game in VR because it's that good.
Do they have that for PC?
It will be coming out for PC, but it was actually, is it on PC?
For PC?
Yeah, I think it may already be on PC, but I think they released it as a initial, a timed exclusive for the PlayStation.
Okay, I was wondering because, like I said, I've been thinking about getting the HTC Vive, and I've also still have yet to play Skyrim.
Yeah, so I feel like that's actually a really good way to do it. The one complaint I do have a little bit about it is that it looks like everything's a little fuzzy, just because like the resolution scale isn't there. But honestly,
that might only be for the PS4. I mean,
right? I think that won't be a problem on PC. I think that's just a limitation of the PS4 hardware in the state it's in right now. But honestly, again, once you get in there and get playing, you get so immersed you don't even notice it after a while.
Yeah, that was the interesting thing about any experience I've had with VR is it's amazing how quickly your brain just kind of starts to accept, like, this is what the new world looks like, you know? And it just doesn't have to be the same fidelity that you're used to. It's still extremely immersive.
Yeah.
Even in a very, like, 8-bit like environment, it's just your brain just accepts this new reality pretty quickly, or at least I did. I found it that way. I did get a little vertigo when I would move around in the environment, but
yeah,
I think with prolonged use it would go away. But
yeah, I got a little bit of that at first, but as I played, and I took a break. Like I only played like an hour on the first day, and then I played a little longer the second day. But now it's to the point where I can just sit there and I can do it forever without really getting fatigued. So it just takes time. It takes some getting used to. I think people that complain about the motion controls and direct movement in Skyrim, again, there are some limitations, but I think they haven't spent enough time with it because it becomes natural after a while, just moving around and just being able to use your weapons and swing them around. And I'm playing a full destruction mage right now, and it's so much fun. So but yeah, that definitely an excellent purchase. I don't regret it, and I'm plan to continue playing that through as much as I can. Because for me, that justifies the purchase of the VR headset in the first place. I have a couple other things, and they give away things for free on PS Plus as well. But I would say, as an experience in itself of a long-term game to be played, Skyrim's a great place to start.
Okay, that's good to hear because as I'll get into when I get into my stuff, I've been thinking about getting the VR headset and mainly for Subnautica.
Oh man, yeah, that sounds like it would be amazing
my buddy
too.
Said it's awesome, and he's using the Oculus, but I'll talk about that later.
Yeah, absolutely.
Did we want to see, before you keep going on, before you continue, can we add in Mr. Cyber just?
Yeah, that's fine. I was looking at that, so yeah, that sounds like a great idea.
We're gonna flop him. We're gonna toss him in, and then we'll pick up.
Yeah, because I could go on for a while too with the other stuff I have listed here. So go ahead.
So Cyber, you can take over. Yeah.
Thank you.
We'll
Normally, I don't have to work on the weekends, but my CEO decided that it was a good time to do a town hall and breakfast.
Yes.
So
everybody's working
and
for
apparently
the
it's a good
weekend.
breakfast. So yeah.
At least you're getting free food, so.
Yeah, thanks.
There you go.
So the first thing
so take it away.
I want to talk about is Dark and Light. The game is still very early beta, but I've been enjoying it, and it's kind of pulled me into it even more than Aberration did. I think I've been putting more time into Dark and Light even after Aberration came out than I have been in Ark. But the game is very similar to Ark, and it's the sister company, or the company that bought the
Wildcard.
That bought Wildcard. So that you can even Snail Games, but they have a lot of the sounds you could tell
Snail
came
Games.
from Ark, like the doors opening and closing and stuff. But there's enough difference to attract me to it. For example, they have magic. You can technically be a wizard or what have you in this game and carry around a staff, and it's neat because you craft the type of magic you want your staff to cast. So if you want to be a fire wizard, you would craft the fire spell to add to your staff. So it's kind of neat how they've done it, and it made it kind of a survival fantasy game. You can craft a sword and run around with a sword and shield. They have bow and arrow, crossbows similar to Ark. Their taming is different because instead of shooting it with trank arrows, you shoot it with these hook arrows and root the arrows into the ground, and the creature has to basically either run away from you or run at you, and basically break the strings on these hook arrows, and that's what increases its torpor, basically. So and then eventually it falls asleep, and then you have to place a feeding trough down and put what they eat in the feeding trough to tame them. So it's similar but different. But I definitely have been enjoying it. Skills are very different. Where in Arc, you when you level up, you get X number of points to put in. With Dark and Light, it's structured where you have to level your skills. So when I go chop some trees down, it'll improve my woodworking skill. And once I unlock the first tier of woodworking, the tree chopping will still give me a little bit of experience, but building that first tier of woodworking items will unlock the second tier a lot faster, and so forth, so on. So it technically doesn't matter what level I am, I could eventually unlock all the different tiers. The last thing I just want to say about Dark and Light, and then if you guys have questions, I'd be happy to answer some. We do have a CRR Dark and Light server. Balloon was running it, but he wanted to get rid of it to run the new Arc server. So I've taken over the Dark and Light server. I'm running it from a computer here in my house. If anybody wants to join, they just need to send me your team ID through Discord, and I can add you to the access list, and you could get on and play. There's a few of us that have been playing.
That's cool. And if you're not a member of the gaming group yet, you can find us at crossrealmrebellion.com.
So how much is Dark and Light?
And then you can
how much is it? Is it you said?
Mr. Cyber Judge.
It is $30. Yeah.
Okay.
Would you say that the game is polished yet, or not even close?
$29.99.
It's probably at the same stage that Arc was when I started playing Arc half a year before it actually went to retail release. So there's still quite, like, for example, and I remember I had this problem in Arc, but when I log in every once in a while, I get stuck in my foundations of my building and stuff like that. So
how is building better than Arc, or
memories.
Building is basically the same. It's you could tell they cookie cutted a lot of the stuff, but like stone structures, you can't just craft them out of your inventory like you can in Arc. You actually have to go to your workbench to craft stone and iron. They have different tiers of metal. It's copper, iron, mithril, and then I'm not sure what it was beyond that. They have different stones, like, and they have quality of the stone as well. So you have your stone, you have your rare stone, you have. So far, I'm at the stage because I'm such a slow gamer as far as leveling and stuff like that I'm still just using the base building stuff. I've been starting to build on my base in iron and stuff like that, but I haven't had to use any of the special rare ingredients yet. But I've tamed a few things. Like I said, the taming was different. You can't just create like a little trapping house and get them to run into your trap and knock them out. You have to, if you build a trapping pen, you have to make it really long, like 7 or 8 foundations long, so that they have room to run. Now, Falloon's telling me, yeah, you can, but I haven't been successful with it. I tried, and I had a...
He's muted.
Yeah, I think Luminen muted him.
Hiding in the corner.
Yeah. Not gonna slap
Well, he muted
him.
himself. I think Luminen muted him too.
Yeah.
Go for. I think he muted himself. He muted himself.
Oh, there, he's unmuted.
Oh, let me see.
But
I don't know, man. There he is. It was a self.
So yeah, Falloon, go ahead if you want to say
Feel
anything
free,
about Dark and
Falloon.
Light.
Chime in. I see it's removed now.
I played Dark and Light when it launched, and I really enjoyed the theme of it. It did remind me a lot of Arc, but there were enough differences where it felt like a different game. Although, just like Cyber said, there's a lot of things that were obviously copied.
The buildings seem much more intricate, right? I mean, from the screenshots I'm looking at, they seem more like just more designed. But maybe those are static buildings. I don't know. Are there structures like that?
I'm not looking at any of the stream, but buildings are a little different. You got different tiers of building. I think you said that. You can build manors and things like that. But the only thing I really wanted to chime in on is I spent a lot of time trying to figure out traps. And what I found out was that, just like you said, when the tether breaks, that's when the what we call in Ark torpor, which is Constitution in that game, that's when it causes that torpor, when the tether breaks. So what I did was I found out that about 7 or 8, it's been a while, 7 or 8 foundations away, and is about as far as the tether reaches and breaks. Also figured out that that distance, and the arrow would shoot, and the moment that it hit them, it would break. So that was an important thing to find out, because what I did was I made a 1 foundation wide, 6 foundations long. I tried a lot of different lengths, but had some problems with longer lengths, because if you do tether them, they'll drag you into the trap, and then if it's one of the cats, I can't remember what they're called, but drag you in there and they'll eat you. So if you make a like a hallway structure, 3 walls high, wooden windows, it has to be wooden. And I know that's dangerous because in that game, animals can destroy structures pretty easily. So put a stack of windows, or 4 or 5 windows in your hotbar, so that you can quickly replace them before they blow up. And then, like I said, about 6 foundations long, 1 foundation wide, 3 walls high, wooden windows on either end. Stand a little ways back, and until you figure out what the distance is where the tether will break the moment that it hits them. And you know this because it causes 1 damage. So when that happens, you just do that. They can't get you. If the window starts to break, put a new window in, fix it, whatever you got to do, and then keep doing it, and pretty soon you got them knocked out. Put ramps up, they'll jump in there, dive out the other side. It's dangerous, but hey, I like taming, so I had to figure this out, and it took me a while, but I think I finally figured it out.
So it's more of like a puzzle. It sounds very like there's a lot of different stages, as opposed to if you're used to playing like Ark Survival Evolved for like the taming and all that stuff. Like you said,
I know they did change that about the time that I started tapering off my time on that game. Yeah. But I think there's different tiers of, and the different tiers like stone or something, where they changed, you could, that the wild creatures wouldn't break them and tear them down. They also had these force fields. I was using those. I think they're called force fields. I don't remember what they're called, but they're similar to the Ark force fields that you get with tech, only powered with, I can't remember what that's been so long since I played it. But fun game. I really enjoyed it. I'm really looking forward to when it's released or near released. I may go back to it, give it some time, go back, see what happens, see what it's like.
Even with the drops, they do instead of just a drop like an Ark, it's actually like a meteor that crashes into various areas of the world, and you go and look at the meteor, you'll get like resources or what have you. But it's interesting because all those meteors that crash also spawn in stronger, usually like skeletons, or there's this sometimes
Grim Reaper or something
Grim
like that,
Reaper wraith thingy that like destroys you. Like it's got a crazy area attack. It does tons of damage to buildings, even my iron building. I thought, I'm going to be safe with my iron building. It won't be able to destroy my iron building, thinking like usually like in Ark, if you have metal, you're safe. Well, no, this thing it takes a while, but it does do damage, and its area effect goes through the walls. So yeah, it's pretty crazy, and like those things only spawn near those meteors.
Wow.
So you have to kind of know where those meteors go if you don't want to have to deal with that stuff and build away from it. Yeah.
Yeah, that's cool though. I think that kind of a aspect of the game might add to a little bit of longevity, because sometimes when you play games and it feels kind of like you've kind of built yourself up really good, there's really nothing that can get at you, as that can feel very gratifying, but on the same side, it also then hops over to being boring. Like, well, I've ceilinged out. There's nothing can get me. So it's always nice to know that you're not ever 100% safe in a game. So I think that's kind of cool that
Oh, of course.
Because
yeah.
that adds to longevity
There's
as opposed to
3
people getting
races
bored
that
and
you can
moving
be
on
in
for
the
the
game.
next challenge.
Basically,
And as gamers,
human,
we tend to
elf,
do
and
that.
dwarf.
You mean human?
Yeah.
Human. We have,
and they each have their own like starting city.
changed the
So,
way
Promo,
we
you were
say
asking
human.
about cities. There are
Or at least I have.
pre-constructed cities that you start in.
Okay.
And they kind of give you some. They give you some vendors that you can purchase stuff from. They do give you when you first start. They'll give you quests like go and hit some trees and get the apples and trade the apples in and stuff like that. So.
It looks like a lot more feature-rich than Ark that I'm seeing.
That's kind of cool because, yeah, that totally nails the whole headache that we were always running up against, like the lack of a tutorial. People, and we would argue whether or not it made the game to kind of find this stuff out on your own.
It was kind of a nice way to start, right?
But then it kind of, if you had that, that's kind of cool that it adds those different aspects into it.
MMO to a survival game, right?
Yeah, you have they have a currency system as well, and they
That's
have
exactly what I was thinking. Yeah.
like reputation. The different vendors in town, you can gain rep with them, or at least you could when I was playing it. And what that quote unquote buys you is access to higher tier items.
Nice. Yeah, it looks like a very feature-rich title, to be honest. It's kind of like how we all wanted Ark to look like in terms of some of the game mechanics. You see some of the flying stuff going on with like spin diving moves and all kinds of weapons and just in general structures. It looks like a cool game with a very cool theme. It's more fantasy-based, I'm guessing, right? I'm seeing like
it is, yeah,
different kind of creatures.
Yeah, the magic brings a whole nother element to it. That's a really cool part of it.
Yeah, and the creatures are all fantasy creatures. Like, you probably could equate them to like real animals. Like, they have Burgesh, I believe is how it's pronounced. It basically reminds me of a hyena. They have the Deathstalker, which is kind of like a panther type of thing. They have what they call a longhorn, that's very similar to a trike. The Flathorn, which is similar to like a reindeer. So they have things. They have sheep, and they're more. The sheep are more available than in Ark. They have...
I wonder. Remember the whole thing that went down with Ark and needing a farm animal? Right. I wonder if they pulled it from Dark and Light and just put it in Ark because they kind of had it on the ready.
The sheep also craft. What do they craft? Is it?
Why does it look so cartoony though?
Or something that you can craft something inside of them. I don't remember what it is.
I haven't gone and tamed a sheep, so I don't know. I kind of skipped the sheep.
There's it's fur or something you can craft in them. When it launched, that's what you could do. So it was early on tamed to help you gather this material.
Yeah.
And it just like crafted over time, quite a bit of time. But I mean, it was better than. It was kind of nice to have that access to that so that it could help you move forward.
Yeah, because fur is used in a lot of the starting equipment and a lot of the armor. So, and it's not easy to get because you have to kill some of the higher level creatures. I think the rabbits do drop a little bit of fur, but if you want to get lots of fur, you have to go after like the Deathstalkers and stuff like that, which the Deathstalkers are pretty strong, and when you're just starting out, you don't want to be fighting a Deathstalker. So, but as far as buildings go, Promo, you can build things beyond, like in Ark, once you're at a metal base, you're done. Well, in Dark and Light, they have manors. They have the elf building, they have the human building, and they have the dwarf building. So you can actually, now I haven't gotten to build any of those yet because the resources are ridiculous. Like you need 1,000 of a whole bunch of things. But they definitely do have kind of some more interest, almost like they've implemented the castles mod from Ark into Dark and Light to kind of give you some different building structures. But yeah.
Awesome. And you also wanted to talk about Aberration?
Yeah. Just it was another thing that was on my list. I think you guys talked about it already a bit, but it's been fun. Really enjoyed when we first started on Aberration, there was a group of us CRR players, and we, I think, spent more time dead than alive. It felt like we were all noobs.
That was a super fun night. I loved it.
Yeah, it was.
Yeah, it was definitely, even though we were spending most time dying and
I
we
can't
thought we had a
believe
nice
I missed
structure
it.
built,
I'm
and then
so
all of a
bummed.
sudden Carno comes and destroys it all. Between a Carno and those Nasher or whatever they're called,
Ravagers, yeah.
We just
You've been nashed.
We couldn't stay standing for 2 seconds. So it was definitely probably the best day I had in Ark was that day when I spent most of my time dead. But definitely Aberration is definitely a totally different way of playing Ark. There's no flying. You can glide. There's some tames that you can get that glide, and it was mentioned the wingsuit that you can get, but you're not going to be getting any RGs. You're not going to be getting pterodons. It's very ground based. You're in a cave basically, underground, and it adds a little bit different. They have earthquakes that drop resources when you need it, or not when you need it. They're random, and they when you get more advanced, they become very annoying because everything, your whole screen is shaking as these earthquakes are happening. I won't say too much because I know Esme, you don't want any spoilers, so it is worth it, and I encourage, if you have it and you haven't tried it yet, to give it a try. I'll move on to PlayerUnknown Battlegrounds. I've been playing that.
Awesome.
I've not so as much anymore. I used to play even in solo rounds. I've been finding solo, I'm not really enjoying it when I'm in there by myself. But I know Provoke's hit me up a few times, messaged me saying he's playing with his buddies in PUBG and inviting me to join. So I'll hop
Anytime,
in with
man.
him. And I suck at the game. I'm not the greatest with shooters in general, but I still enjoy it, especially when it's a group of us going out and playing it. It does make it fun, no matter how well or poorly we do. So.
Oh, even just when you have shenanigans going, it can be fun, even if you're not getting them kills, right?
That's right.
Or just watching me die all the time.
The game did come out in final release, or their 1.0 release in December. With that release, they did release their second map, which is desert themed. And the one thing that I love that they released is the vaulting. So you can now vault out of windows. You can vault over some lower walls and stuff like that. It kind of added a much needed mechanic into the game. So that's all I have to say about PUBG. I don't know if anybody else wants to say anything about PUBG.
Just say I play it a bit. I like it. You don't get to play it as much for reasons I will talk about a bit later. But namely Overwatch. Yay!
I want to announce I am a solo god of PUBG.
Let's see those streams on YouTube there, Giga.
I'm lazy though.
Oh, come on, you gotta click a couple of buttons, settle down.
Yeah, get him out. Get him out. Max has been doing. Mad Max has been doing. He said some videos for PUBG, so hopefully we can get those linked up on our site. But you've also been getting some 7 Days to Die time in.
I know we were talking about it when on Esme's segment there. We were talking about rules of survival. That game is also available on PC. It used to be, if you look at. Yeah, if you look on there's articles about how you have to play it through Android emulator BlueStacks, but you don't even have to do that anymore. If you go to their actual website, they actually have a PC download link, and I just noticed that now, and I downloaded it and quickly installed it before my turn was up and went into it, and it's basically the mobile version of the game on PC. It's 1.2 gig download, I think it was, but it uses keyboard and mouse to play. So I don't know if it's crossed with the Android version so that you're playing with mobile players or not. I don't know, but I just loaded it up for 2 seconds, went into a map, raided a building, and got killed, and that was when I exited. So it is on PC and it doesn't need BlueStacks or anything. You just install it and play away.
That's cool that you found that, because I only looked up anything like that for mobile because branching out from Kamikaze.
Yep.
So it's
And
cool
then
that
as
you
far as
took
7
it a
Days to
step
Die,
further and found out that
I've
it was
been playing
actually
that not
available
as
to
much
play on your
as
PC. So
my other
that's
games,
awesome.
but I do have it. It's probably another one where I'd probably have more fun if there was a group of us playing. So if there's anybody who has 7 Days to Die and wants to kind of group up and play on a server or what have you, let me know. It is a survival zombie game, so the little I played of it, I started in a random area, found a structure that they have ruined structures all over, and open land that you could build your own structure in. But I just found a structure that was kind of in ruins, and I kind of used that as my building area, and it started building around it, fixing the walls and stuff like that. The idea of the game is every night the zombies will start coming after you, and every 7 days they have what's called a red moon, where the zombies are kind of like super powered, and every 7 days they get stronger and stronger, and it gives you a kind of you have to kind of go on the defensive when those especially when the red moons are, but at night in general. So if you kind of like it's not scary at all, there's no jump scares or anything, but if you like that kind of survival, defending yourself against zombies and building, you may want to try 7 Days to Die.
I might have to get that one and hit you up with some of that.
But that's it for me. I've played a whole bunch of other games. I bought some Humble bundles and stuff like that. That's giving me a bunch of games, but I haven't played them enough to talk about them for any reasonable amount of time. So I figured I'd just talk about those main games I just talked about and leave it at that. Now I must go to bed because 5:30 in the morning comes early.
Good night.
Sounds
Thank
good.
you.
See you, Sabre.
Bye.
All right. Well, have a good day tomorrow. Thanks for joining us tonight. So we'll hand the baton.
All
back
right,
to
sounds
Willektron
good.
So you can
Am I still
wrap
on?
up your gaming time in a little
Yep.
bow.
Okay.
And then hand it back over to Gigabyte.
Yeah. Oh, by the way, so I just looked at the
Yes.
Steam front page, and we were talking about Chivalry earlier. It is currently on sale for the next 36 or so hours for $374. So if you're interested in trying out Chivalry, it's pretty cheap right now. I know a lot of you guys got it for free sometime last year, but I'd say it's worth the $374. It's about how much I paid when I got it.
It's definitely for when
Yeah.
you get a group of your friends together because it's funny. It was just fun with
Yeah, that was the first time we had really talked at any length. So yeah, that was pretty great.
That's how we got to know each other. I was playing Chivalry. yeah. And you were showing me how to play, and I was like, oh my god, these guys would totally like this.
Yep.
So we gotta.
Anyway,
yeah,
all right.
get our
So
free-to-play
I was on about PlayStation VR, which
play
was
games
great.
back up and running.
Another game that I've been playing that this one I actually did not initially get through Humble Monthly. Surprise, surprise. Is Tomb Raider, the reboot that was released in 2013. Yes, in 2013. I never played any of the old Tomb Raider games, so I don't really know what's going on there. I don't really have a comparison, but Tomb Raider is the reboot is another kind of an action game. It's a bit on the rails, as Prometheus might say. Where you have pretty specific missions, but you can go around within the areas and find little collectibles and stuff, and you upgrade your weapons and stuff over time. But it's definitely a very story and action oriented game that essentially takes you through a fixed story as you progress through the game. Gameplay was great. You've got essentially essentially 4 different weapons. You've got your bow, you've got a pistol, you eventually get an assault rifle and a shotgun. And those are the 4 main things. And you use those both for combat and also for solving puzzles for getting through into new areas and things like that as you play the game. So if what you're looking for is a pretty neat and interesting story and very tight, very smooth gameplay, and just an overall high quality experience, Tomb Raider's a great game. I really enjoyed it. Yeah, I would say I recommend it if you're interested in playing games like that. It's a good one. And then there's also now a sequel, Rise of the Tomb Raider. I think Prometheus was having a little trouble finding which specific game I was talking about when when he was helping put the links together, but he's got the right one up on the stream right now. So, Salt and Sanctuary. Have we discussed this before on the podcast? I think I may have mentioned it before.
I don't think so. I don't recall this one.
Okay, well, if not, basically, idea here is if you play any of the Dark Souls games, if you like the Dark Souls games, you'll probably like this game. It's essentially 2D Dark Souls, and I find it excellent. It's got a couple slight differences, but your health bar, your stamina bar, the way you gain experience and upgrade your character, and the way you find weapons throughout the game and or buy them and upgrade them and make them better, and the different classes that you can use and stuff like that. Most of that is pretty much the same idea as what you would get in Dark Souls. What's a little bit different is the skill tree. So instead of leveling up specific stats, you have, and maybe there's a picture of it on the Steam page, I don't know, but you have this kind of gigantic skill tree that you put points into in order to build your character. So you've got your points for strength, and essentially it's a tree with a bunch of different nodes. So you've got nodes for strength, which allow you to deal stronger attacks with specific weapons. You've got, I believe there's like points you can put in for like specific weapons so that you can use better weapons of a certain class, like bows or short swords or maces or magic wands or whatever you happen to, or daggers, or whatever you happen to be in. You've got nodes for carry weight, extra health potions, extra essentially mana potions, things like that. But honestly, it's a really interesting Metroidvania type game. All the different areas are interconnected in the same way that the first Dark Souls had it. That was one of the things I really liked about the first Dark Souls. And maybe I haven't played Dark Souls 3 yet, but I would assume somewhat the same with Dark Souls 3 is that that interconnectedness exists. Bloodborne as well.
Ooh, I love that game.
Yeah,
So hard,
and that is another game that has been taking up my time because I finally sat back down, and I've had it for a while. I finally sat back down and decided to go through to the end. Haven't quite finished yet. I have because I got the DLC and I'm working my way through that before I go through to the last couple bosses in the game.
You can't seem to get enough Dark Souls because Dark Souls seems to be coming out for Nintendo Switch.
Yes, I will be talking about that too in just a moment. But yeah, so if you like any of the Souls games and you don't mind 2D platforming gameplay, Salt and Sanctuary is another great game to pick, because I found that and I looked it up and was like, oh, this looks pretty cool. And I bought it when it was on sale, and I was like, let's try this out. And I was like, another Souls-like game, yes. So I was really impressed with it.
So I'm trying to remember if Salt and Sanctuary if I got it off of Steam, or was it part of a Humble Monthly or a Humble Bundle? Because I know it was one of those that I was looking at the same thing too, looking around at it, and I do have it. I just don't remember where.
Yeah, I bought it as a just when it was on sale on Steam.
Currently,
they do have it
$17.99 on Steam right now.
They do have it on PlayStation 4 as well. That's where it was originally released, but it works really well on Steam. That's where I played it. The other thing that sets it apart a little bit from Dark Souls is that it does have multiplayer, but it does not have online multiplayer. Instead, the multiplayer is couch co-op. So you can, there's an item in the game that if you have it and you find it through, pretty early on in the game, or you can choose it as your item to get when you first create your character, because you have a little bit of a choice between certain items that you can just have when you start your game. That allows a second person to drop in with another character that's already been created and go through the game with you. So I did that with my roommate, and it was a blast. So if you have someone to play with that that you live with or will come hang out or whatever, and they enjoy those types of games too, it's a lot of fun to go through this game alongside another person. So. But as a fan of what are being called Souls-like games and more broadly Metroidvania games in general, I highly recommend it. But yeah, so as you can tell, I can't get enough of Dark Souls. Dark Souls is, and I've mentioned this before on one of the podcasts I know, Dark Souls is one of my favorite games, one of my favorite series, but specifically the original Dark Souls just kind of introduced me to a new kind of world of gaming, because I was like, I wasn't sure about it at first. I was like, just from hearing the concept, I didn't know if I would like it or not, and then I played it and I was like, I was amazed. I love these games. Like, they are some of my favorite games to play. Because honestly, there's something really appealing about, like, people complain about their difficulty and stuff like that, and they're difficult, but they're usually pretty fair. Like, it's not an unfair difficulty. Like, if you learn the mechanics and you learn where the enemies are and how the enemies attack and all these different things, you can actually grow not only your character, because it is an RPG and you level up your character and your character gets stronger, but you as a player also get more skilled at playing the game. And that happens for most games, I would say, but like, just in these games, you can actually play most of these games without having to level up if you've played the game before and you know how the game works. So that's one of the things
I found interesting with those as well, is that the good players, you see how many walkthroughs of naked souls, where someone goes through and they're naked because they can be that good at fighting the bosses that they don't even get hit.
Well, and that's one of the things that really appeals to me about this game, is they are very, like, specifically the Dark Souls series, maybe a little less on Dark Souls 2, but with the remaster and the DLC, they made that a little better. But just how tight everything is, how good the controls are, just how well put together everything is, and just delivers a solid gaming experience that makes a lot of sense. There's not a lot of things that go crazy. It's in general, they're not buggy games. Everything works really smoothly, and it just all works really well. And yeah, I have a lot of fun with those. So one of the things that I'm excited about is the Dark Souls remaster for Nintendo Switch, because if there is one game that I could take anywhere, that I would want to take anywhere with me and play just about forever, it would be Dark Souls, and it's coming out on the Switch. So for all the reasons we discussed before about how good the Switch is at portability, being able to take your stuff with you, Dark Souls is great, especially because, like, we've got unlimited, like, some people have, and like my family has unlimited data plans and stuff like that. So even if you're like driving out in the middle of nowhere on a road trip or something, and as long as you're not the one driving, obviously, then you could like just even play multiplayer that way. So I'm pretty excited, because the only place I played the regular Dark Souls up to this point has been on the Xbox 360, and while that was a great experience, when it was, it's kind of hard to lug the old Xbox around now, especially when there are others playing and using. So,
but you also have another sucking game in your lineup here.
Oh gosh, this was less by choice and more by, it's just what all my coworkers and friends that live near me are playing right now. And it's Overwatch. It's like, okay, yes, I enjoy the game sometime, but I'm the definition of jack of all trades, master of none. I don't like to spend a whole lot of time in a specific thing, unless, of course, I really, really, really enjoy it. Dark Souls, Ark, some Skyrim, stuff like that. But, like, Overwatch, it's a good, for the most part, it's a good game, and I enjoy playing it with my friends. But they play it every night. I don't know that I can do that. and I want to get better at it, and I want to be good enough to play with them because that's what they're doing right now. But I most of the time I don't feel like I really want to spend the hours and hours and hours to get good enough at a first-person shooter just to be able to keep up with them and not drag them down. So I've been trying a little bit, but I might end up backing off from that a bit, and maybe Gigabyte can relay some of his experiences with Overwatch as well, because I've heard he's raged a bit.
He's been mighty quiet tonight.
I have been dodging like 60 plus wyverns trying to get an egg, so I've been kind of focused.
Yeah, that's a lot of wyverns.
It's bad, especially in that one little cave on Ragnarok that's under like a freaking the only way in and out. It's a tiny little sliver that you gotta hit to get out.
Yeah. I went in there yesterday with Cricket, and it was not a good time.
So because when I checked on what our status was, we had 500 of each flyer or of each wyvern was on the server.
I better get a good freaking color on this egg.
Make it worth it.
So Gigabyte, do you have any thoughts on Overwatch?
I just want to preface this with I used to love Overwatch, but I'm at the point where I absolutely fucking despise it. Like, I hate it as a concept. I hate how overhyped it's become. I hate how crappy it doesn't feel like a good game anymore.
Yeah, I played a ton of Overwatch when it first came out with
that being said,
a few buddies of mine. But I got to the point where it just kind of sort of raging on the game, and because I've never been all that great with first-person shooters. I mean, I've decent, but I know I'm always mid-tier of the stuff. But
yeah. So from my perspective, I'm just straight up really not that great at first-person shooters. So that's the problem. That's one of the problems in the first place. I did play it on console for a while first because one of my friends was like, "Hey, you should play this," and bought it for me. So I was like, "Okay, I'll play it." So I played it with them for a while on console, and then it was on sale like a couple months ago, and so I bought it again. I bought it, I guess, for the first time on PC, and so I've been playing it on and off for a bit. It's just one of those things. Like, yes, if I spent time, I could definitely get better at it. But it's just one of those things where I'm not sure that my level of enjoyment with first-person shooters is high enough for me to have the motivation to spend.
I would say go something like Mercy. You don't necessarily need to aim.
That's true. I do that sometimes. I've actually been having some pretty good success with Soldier. I'm getting a lot better with aiming, especially with those hit scan weapons. But I've also been messing around with Diva and Orisa a little bit.
Yeah, my friends had they like pitched in together and bought a second account or something. So whenever they want me to play, I'll use that because I refuse to buy it for PC because I think it's a garbage game.
Yeah.
So when I first started playing it, we were doing the standard choose your heroes, and that was back when you could have multiple of the same hero in the standard because they didn't have the stuff they have now with the arcade and all that. And I was usually always playing Reinhardt. But now when I do play it, me and my friends, we just play mystery heroes, where that's an interesting thing because usually nobody's really good at any given time because every time you die, you get a new character. Divas. And so, I mean, every now and then you'll get one of the characters you're really good at, and every now and then somebody else gets someone they're really good at, but you don't get to the point where you have the people playing the person that they have, 500,000 hours on, and are just wrecking your face because they know every piece about that character. So, if you're gonna play it, I would suggest even maybe giving that a try. The Mystery Heroes, which Nick says, fun.
Actually, so Mystery Heroes is definitely interesting, and we've done it a few times. But you also get into this very rare situations where either your team or the enemy team gets that perfect combination of heroes, and it's just like, oh, well, we're just rolling over everybody, or they're rolling over us. It's like,
Yeah, that does happen sometimes, and it's annoying as hell. But usually when that happens, it goes pretty quickly.
Yeah, that's true too. So I don't, like I said, I don't regret buying it, and I don't regret playing with my friends. I just have to make some hard decisions about how much time I'm going to spend playing it. But that's been keeping me away from a lot of other things, at least recently. So Drop Mix is interesting. It is not a video game. It is something that my friends introduced me over when I was on vacation for Christmas, and it's kind of a card game almost, because you do have decks of cards, and it's kind of also a trading card game almost, because you can buy
uses an
different packs and
iPhone or a
different
tablet
things.
or something.
But yeah, so essentially you download an app on your phone, and it comes with what you are buying is actually a board that has RFID chip readers in it, and each of the cards has an RFID tag. And so the idea is you can either play competitive or cooperatively, but each card has like there are rules about how you gain points and lose points, and you put cards down at certain points, and each card has like a certain level. But the theme of the game is that each card is a specific part of a mix of a song. And so essentially, as you're playing the game, you're mixing different songs together, different instruments from different songs and different genres, and it all essentially puts it together for you as you play the game. So you can play it 1v1 or 2v2 against people. You've got your decks of cards, and you try to gain points and get to 21 points before people do. But as you're going along, it creates different mixes of music. Some of them can be really interesting, some of them might be kind of bad, and then there's also like a freeform mode where you can just like put cards down on the way you want to, and just kind of make your own mixes and stuff. But it's a lot of fun. It's really addicting. My friend had wanted it and liked it enough that he just decided to go ahead and buy all of the available packs for it. So we had access to pretty much all the cards that were available in the game at the time. And it's a really fun game. You pick up the cards, depending on the number of players, if it's just 1v1, you take two different decks and put them together and use that as your deck for the game. But yeah, just one of the most appealing things about it is the fact that you are creating different music mixes, and some of them sound really cool. It's another one of those things you really have to try it to kind of get the concept. But we had a blast with it. We spent probably 40% of our time that we were hanging out playing that game. So it can be a bit on the pricey side, but if you're interested in that kind of thing, I'd say it's worth it. And if you have a friend that has it, so much better.
But you also got Shadow of Colossus remake?
Yes, I did.
I'm so jealous of you.
Yeah,
like
so
I'm
I
ready to buy a
decided to pre-order
PS4 just
it
for this one game.
because I had never played it before.
Oh.
Yeah, so I had never played it before, and I was like, okay, I'm gonna play this, and I'm gonna play the new one because I've heard it's good. And
It's one of the best games ever created.
yeah, I've heard it's an amazing game. So I was like, okay, I'm gonna take this advantage. I'm gonna pre-order it. I'm gonna get the special edition, and yeah, I'm gonna go out and get it. And I actually played a little bit and defeated the first two bosses. I really like the game. I think it's gonna be fun. And I'm interested to see
So artistic. I love
what
it.
happens in the story and
Oh yeah.
all of that, because it kind of seems like I'm a big fan of somewhat. Well, I can say I'm a big fan of just normal storytelling in general. I'm a fan of good storytelling, but I am a fan of somewhat bare bones storytelling. Because it seems like you've got a little bit and things you can pick up on and infer and try to figure out what's going on.
It's totally. I would say the entire game is like a very subtle story that's playing before you, and you kind of, because of how little there is to effectively glean from what they're telling you in the storyline, that it makes kind of like silence is can be really loud kind of concept where you just and then by the end of the story it's amazing. It's just a fantastic game. I really hope they did the remake well. I have no direct experience. I'm only talking about the original.
Right.
But with a game like this, I think they probably nailed it. There's no way they would have.
Yeah, I mean, I have played like the very beginning of it, the original game, and it looks like it pretty much seems like exactly the same game, except in much better quality and up to date performance and stuff like that. So from what I've seen, it seems to have been made extremely true to the original. So I'm looking forward to playing that and finishing it. Again, I've only defeated the first 2 bosses, but I think I'm going to have a lot of fun with that. So yeah, that is my deluge of games that I have played in between now and the last time that we podcasted. I've played other things too, but I feel like I should stop talking now. So, oh, actually, one more thing I wanted to say about bare bones storytelling. That is another thing that I really like about the Souls games, is because they've got a little bit of story. Their items are packed with like just bits of information about the world and what things came from, and but a lot of the stuff you've got to figure out and piece together by the placement of items and where things are and the different environments and bosses and things like that. And so that's another reason I like those games, is because they're just so packed with lore and meaning, and you can tell that it was crafted carefully, and there is meaning behind just about everything, but they don't necessarily straight out tell you. And I really like that. So, yep.
Yeah. That brings us to Gigabyte.
I don't want to talk. Okay.
Oh, come on. You've got, 3 things to talk about?
Right,
So what, did I just hear that right? Gigabyte doesn't want to talk?
You know what?
Yeah, no,
Provoke. My castle's
Hey,
bigger than
Giga?
yours.
Yes, it is.
Giga, is he provoking you?
Which is an excellent segue into I finished my castle build.
Yeah, and?
Looks amazing.
I'm not done mine.
We just need a interior decoration mod so I can actually make the inside look amazing.
Well, we all need to just keep poking Falloon with that one. 21 mods is not that big of a deal.
No,
Are you insane? 20 mods is a big deal.
I was going to say that
Falloon.
forever to load into the game.
Zone, 12 mods ago.
Yeah.
Come on, it's like 3 or 4 minutes extra load time. Who cares?
I don't
Yeah,
have
on
an
top
issue
of
with
depending
it.
on
I'm
your
just waiting
computer.
for somebody to tell me which interior
Please.
decorating mods they
We
want.
do need we need some
That
Let's just
aquarium
drop
one off the top of
eco
my head.
trees. I think that's just in the basic. The aquarium one's pretty sweet.
See, I think we
Maybe
got
like
the top, guys.
what was that one we used to have all the time? The tavern, or not tavern.
Pubs and taverns or something like that.
Something like that, yeah.
Get all of the eco stuff and we should be good.
Maybe not all of it.
just
She's
add
let's
8
make this-
more mods.
Let's make this the Godzilla server again.
You know what, Falloon? I'm not gonna lie. I'm not jealous for you, man. So have fun
He's doing it really
managing.
well.
Yeah, it's.
Well, I mean, the server you manage promo is dead, so
They ran for a
That's
good long time,
That's
you
'cause
know.
Provoke.
Hey, we had a lot of fun on
Yeah.
that server.
we
It was
did.
I know,
I mean,
right?
We
Hey,
all
what
beat
did
it.
I-
What
We've
did
all
I
beaten
do?
Extinction Core.
Jeez.
What did I
Extinction
do,
Core probably
Esme?
has 50,000 hours with everybody who ever played on it.
Yeah.
Oh, I was going to
So,
say, because Provoke told us that Promo was going to stop running his server, so everybody's like, well, why do I want to play here? And then we hop over.
Yeah,
and then it was the same time.
No, it was more, didn't you take a vote and everybody voted to cut it?
I never.
Yeah,
I mean, I
the
wasn't around for
Extinction
that. I
Core.
came in after the fact. So.
Yeah, but did you ever really play Extinction Core on Falloon's server, Falloon and Promos?
No, we were doing I did.
Yes,
I had a house,
I did.
but then it was too laggy for me with my current computer. I played a lot on our building server, So yeah.
Gigabyte wanted to talk about EVE Online because he's a junkie there. So
I am not a junkie.
You are
just a
totally
fun
a space
game.
junkie.
Junkie monkey.
It's like, okay, promo. What about it is too complicated for you?
It's just an extremely in-depth game where you have to put a lot more effort than most people. It's kind of like when most simulation games got to the point where it was almost too realistic and you had to become a race car driver or a boxer or a football player or you had to become one of those things. And I understand that the simulation games generally are designed for the diehard fans who love that genre, right? But there were a huge number of people who, things like Burnout Paradise or there's those arcade version of simulation games
Need for Speed.
Need for Speed that just restore the joy that you had in the early simulation games that weren't so involved. And EVE Online
Simulator.
yeah, exactly. And EVE Online is like the perfect example of how far can we take this and how intricate can we make it to the point where you have like multiple currencies and multiple zones, and all these zones have like basically coordinates for names, and you're like, you just respawn at this region. I'm like, dude, I don't even know what you called it. You mentioned it once and you're flying by it, and there's always they throw out like tons of terminology at you. You're like, dude, I don't know this game. I've never played it, and you're like, you've thrown no less than 40 words at me that I've never even heard, and so now the consistency of what I'm even understanding in a single sentence is barely like 20% comprehension, and you're like, I don't know what I'm doing. I don't know. I don't get it. What am I supposed to do? I'm in a sector. I got you. You lost me at you're in sector 842 H95, and to get back to my last one where I have to remember where I started my my whole
sounds
game.
Like nullsec or
it sounds like you were
wormhole
reading
space.
the entirely wrong part of the game.
Yeah, because
like to give you an idea here, promo. I'm gonna sum it up really easy for you. You're talking
Do this
about
for me
knowing
too, because
where
I haven't been
sectors
able to
are and
even
stuff like
think
that. To
about
give you an
getting
idea,
into
I
it.
live in a system called Amigon, something like that.
Oh wait! You live in the system and you can't even tell me what the fuck it's called.
I don't know how to pronounce it.
That's a lot like trying to pronounce dino names.
Yeah,
No,
like
it's
trying to
not.
pronounce
Yes,
some
We have
dinosaur
dino
names.
names. We have dino
Esme
names. Okay.
Human.
The
Yeah,
point
I was gonna
is,
say, it all went downhill once we lost Lee for the podcast. So
yeah, the point is, I live in that
God.
system, and I know what systems
system
are
was that
right
again?
next to it. It's the
What-
go fuck yourself system.
Hey, I'm with Blue on this. Giga,
How many
real-
hours? Wait,
How
let me
much
look up
real
how many
life
hours.
money have you spent on
How
this
much
game?
real life money have I spent on EVE Online? About $40.
And that's
Well, there
to
you
buy
go,
the game,
Bobo.
or
Take
that's
it.
in-game transactions?
That was for the it was like 3 months. It was like 35 for 3 months of Omega time, and then there was another 15. It wasn't 15. It's around $40, but it's mostly been the in-game Omega time.
So
I
is
haven't,
it free to buy the game?
There's two different types of there's two different types of players. There's Alpha and Omega. Alpha is completely free. But okay, shut the fuck up. It's like, come on.
look, throw
I
in
don't
some
make up
Greek
these
letters
names.
and Promo just goes to sleep. Okay, fine.
Look, I don't
continue.
make up the names, man.
No,
Okay, so
All
back to what I
right.
was saying.
Let him explain his.
I'm on your side, Gigabyte. Finish.
Basically, when you start, you'll be an alpha clone, which is completely free to play, but you're limited in what skills you can learn.
Why am I limited?
Because it's basically, it used to be, and correct me if I'm wrong, Falloon, but alpha clones used to be like kind of a free trial to the game, not really how you're supposed to play.
Yep, that's
But
right.
like WoW, when it's free up to level 20, but then you have to pay for a membership to keep playing.
Basically. That same kind
Pretty
of
much.
concept. Just it's changed to where instead of level 20, it's 5 million skill points. But they've recently changed that and given you access to a whole bunch more skills.
He's so bad.
So
I think I played that game quite a bit, and I think the hardest part for me is learning skills is real time. But when I first started playing that game, you had to be logged in, or your skill queue would not be running.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Damn.
So it was a really big leap forward when you could be logged out and learning skills.
Yeah, because like now you log out and your skills are training real time. That's why it's forgiven when like it takes a skill like a day and a half to train.
So what's Omega time?
It's essentially like a paid WoW subscription. It's a subscription basically to the game.
Now,
Can you earn that in game though, or earn credits to be able to buy it? I think.
Basically, there's two currencies. There's the one you earn in game, and then there's one called Plex that you can either buy from other players, or
with real life money?
No, you can buy from other players with in-game money, or you can buy it from them for real money.
You don't have to spend real money on it.
Yeah, you don't have to. You don't have to spend a dime.
Okay.
I'm not going to swear.
Because you can use Plex to buy a month of the in-game like Omega time. So if you know how to make the money, which there's tons of guides on YouTube showing you all kinds of different ways, you can easily make enough money in game to buy yourself a membership without actually having to spend any real money.
So
there are 6 tabs on this website, and 3 of them are riddled with buy. There's game time you can buy.
Any kind of freemium,
there is Plex you
somewhat
can
game
buy.
like that is going to have
there's
those kinds of things.
DLC to buy. They seem to have a lot of things you could buy, and it seems like all very expensive. So you have Omega time you have to buy, or you can buy. There's Plex you have to buy, or can buy.
Well, Plex is
you don't have to buy it.
You don't have to buy any of it.
I gotcha.
Yeah.
How much grinding does someone have to do in order to get, say, the equivalent of a $20 pack? How much?
Depends on where you're at in space and what your skills are.
Yeah, like 15. For example, there's one of the most common ways I see people actually pay for a month of Omega time without ever spending any money is they'll skill up so that they have a ship that goes out and gets gas in wormholes, and then they'll sell that gas.
This all sounds very simple, right, Esme? Would you agree?
So here's been my question. I haven't been able to figure it out, and I haven't actually tried it, so I haven't experienced it firsthand. How would you describe the gameplay of EVE Online Gigabyte? Because I haven't been able to wrap my head around it.
It's like, think of yourself as like the captain of the ship. You're not the person driving it, but you're the person ordering, like, you go here, turn this way, use these guns, stuff like that.
Okay.
It's like slow motion
not
failing.
Trust anybody in that game.
It's like slow motion failing. You're trying to fly somewhere, and if you accidentally press the wrong key, like E once, like you're going to be adrift forever in space.
No. Maybe if you're in like a battleship and you accidentally warp to the wrong place, you might have to suffer a bit of a wait. But by the time you actually start flying battleships around, you'll have figured out the controls enough. It's not even complicated. Everything can be done with either a mouse or there's keyboard shortcuts.
Yeah, because pretty much everything I've seen with the game, there's been these articles that talk about these huge, wars or feuds or double-crossing betrayals.
Yeah, they actually just had one
and here's the video.
Yeah, there was a war like last week.
And then they'll say, and here's the video of the thing. And all it is a bunch of little dots just moving around. And I'm like, what am I looking at? I'm looking at dots.
Okay, alright. For like super big battles like that, the people who take it super seriously, they will scroll out to where it's a bunch of little dots. But most of the fights I've done, you're scrolled in a lot more than that, and you're on your ship.
Funny.
Like, there's all kinds of different views.
So
Warning, contains strong language. Wait, did we have that disclaimer at the beginning of our
it's an
show
18
here?
plus podcast.
What are you talking about?
I know we used to have the disclaimer.
Oh, I think anybody who even our Mixer channel has a disclaimer.
I was gonna say, is it
I'm mostly messing. I'm mostly messing.
Is it because I said human? Is that why?
Yes, that's definitely why.
So Giga, as the captain of the ship, telling somebody else where to go. You're saying so it's like a page that you just like point and click on options in a list, or
it's like, here, let me actually like fly my ship so I can describe it better as I'm doing it.
Did you stream anything?
Yeah,
I can't, mainly because I don't know exactly. I don't have OBS set up for one.
Okay.
But I also don't know exactly how much my corporation like allows people to stream yet.
Okay, well, don't tell me you're gonna like post a picture of a dot flying across the screen.
No. To give you an idea, it's a lot. Like, you can ask Balloon. That's like
the graphics
you're zooming
are
out
really
as far
cool.
as possible.
Oh,
I mean, the graphics are cool in the game, but it's space
more than a dot
simulation
when you're in your ship.
But what makes it better than, say, like an Elite Dangerous?
I'd say the economy. Like, I haven't played a lot of Elite Dangerous, but like the economy and the inner, like the politics of the game is what really kind of drew me in.
There's like a stock market, isn't there? There's like it's like a ridiculous.
It's not a stock market, but there is a big ass fucking market.
A big ass
market.
human market.
That's one of the reasons that I think they limit the skills that free players can learn, is so that they can't, like, a person can't make 100 free accounts and crash the market.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because like the super expensive stuff is generally locked behind Omega time.
It's
you wouldn't want
easy
any
for
bubbles
us-
in your market,
It's easy for us that can't, like, because I think what it is what Promo and I run up against is, like, our cognitive function is already taxed by the end of the day. Like, you literally just want to log in and play something or watch something or
Look,
whatever.
you don't have
like,
to
our
worry
brain
about
is
like
already
massive
fried,
100
yeah.
people battles. If you wanted to, for example, you could log in, go out into an asteroid belt, and just shoot NPC pirates. If you wanted to, you could just hunt NPC pirates all you wanted.
Because the other thing that I've heard from and from a number of places is new players basically have to pay a bounty to these these alpha corporations, or whatever, that just sit there and own the area. And it's like in order for you to get out of this sector, you have to pay us a bounty. It's like, well, I'm a new player, I have nothing. It's
Okay,
like, well,
first of all,
nothing
is stopping you from saying "fuck you." I'll do what I want, except the fact that they might blow your ship
blowing you up. Yeah.
Now,
another thing is 100%.
If you wanted to get into
okay,
nullsec space or something like that, then that would be true. You rent space, or you join their corporation. That is definitely true.
Yeah. It depends on where you go, because there's high security systems, there's low security, and then there's null security, which is player owned most of the time.
But I've heard that like high security areas, it's not secure. You're not safe. Anyway,
You're never safe, but in high security, you won't be protected, but you will be avenged. Is how it works. Like, no matter what, the person who killed you in high security space will die.
Yeah, it's more of a deterrent than it is preventative, which, I mean,
so basically the rule in EVE, like the golden rule I've learned, is don't fly anything that you can't afford to lose.
Right.
But when you're just starting out,
when you're just starting out, they give you so much shit that it's not even like...
Who's they?
The game. Like the
They give you so much shit that you can't even know what the hell to do with it. You're like, what? I don't even know what the hell.
Here's how the
Honestly,
tutorial itself.
I don't have skills.
It is pretty in depth. I mean, when you compare it to something like Ark or World of Warcraft or something that we know, it's much more in depth than that. But it's a sandbox, so there's a lot of player. It's really player driven.
If that's your only game, like if that's what you spend most of your time in, then like it's probably not so like mind-blowing to think about wrapping your mind around, because you have that much time to dedicate to that, kind of a thing. I think what it is it's funny because like if you explain, we're making fun or poking fun like those who haven't played, but we're all in essence dealing with the same thing. Like if you go out in the real world and talk to somebody who doesn't game at all and be like, yeah, I tamed a da-da-da the other day. They look at us like we're crazy. And like, so in essence, we're just, letting shit roll downhill more or less. Like, we're just giving, it's like those of us who haven't played EVE, we can't even wrap our mind around what we would even have to do to even begin to maybe, get involved in something like that. So we can't even fathom it. And but to those that are on the inside, like Falloon and Giga, who've had like firsthand experience and the community and the inner workings and the politics and everything, it's just like second nature, like once you get used to it. And like, but for us to talk about, like, the funny thing is I was looking up on Ark. I was just looking at Ark videos, and there was this like young kid, and he was doing like these YouTube videos, and he called it like Ark News, and he was like giving play-to-play on like all these big PvP tribes, and giving the news, such and such tribe took out such and such tribe, and it was cute because he was like 14, 13 maybe, and he had like a little piece of paper, and he was in front of his web camera, and he was like trying to be like a reporter on a real news show, like in his bedroom, but he was giving legitimate like tribe fights and stuff, but to him like that was like, this is big, because like when one tribe wipes out another tribe and then your tribe is gone, like you can get really wrapped up in that because that's what we do. Like that's our other world we live in.
See, that's the same thing that draws a lot of people to EVE, except instead of a tribe, it's a couple thousand people.
Right. Yes, and that's a lot of people, and when you put that much time in, and we don't want, like, we actually, it's really cool that you can, figure all this stuff out, and you can, keep going forward. We're like, ProMen are like, we don't even, like, we are salivating, like, when we sit down there, like, we can't, we have no more faculties to give to
you know what it is?
The
bar,
we want push
the limbo
button,
bar
not think hard.
The limbo bar, just to even get started, is so low. You're like, I can't even do one. Like, I can't even
just
step one.
I can't do a pull-up. I gotta start with like dips first or something.
My knees.
I would have to say the tutorial itself will teach you everything you need to know about flying your ship, and then by the time you finish the tutorial, it'll spit you out into the greater system with all the guidance left is here are 5 career agents that'll teach you more. Basically, they'll teach you how to make money. And each of those missions it's 10 missions for each agent, so 50 missions total if you do them all. And each one rewards you with stuff that you need to start that kind of career path, freaking ships that you need to do that career path. They all pay out like ridiculously well compared to other missions. So you'll end up with the supplies you need to get a good start, and by the time you finish them all, you'll know what you're doing enough to go from there.
Well, so you're saying the tutorial for the game is well suited for the game?
It is now, yeah.
Yeah, it's a good tutorial now. I don't know how it was in the past when Falloon started, but when I started, I quit the tutorial originally, and then I came back a week later, and I actually finished it. I was like, oh, this is great. Plus, if you use the buddy link I put there, you get 250,000 extra skill points for free. That makes learning skills
I think
easier.
Willektron I think he could figure this out.
Not to mention cough.
Yeah, this is definitely
I possibly could.
I get a kickback,
and I maybe would enjoy it, but I'm sitting over here waiting for Star Citizen.
Oh please, that game's gonna be
People
trash.
have been waiting there for that game for like 2 years.
It's gonna be trash.
Oh, believe me, no. I mean, they started development in what, like 2011? So yeah, it's been a while.
What is Star Citizen?
Talk about how much money are you spending on a game?
Oh, I mean, I only spent 65.
I looked at Star Citizen, and it's like, hey, you want to buy this ship for real world money?
Oh, okay. So here's the thing: you don't have to do that. I just got one of the second level, like essentially second level packages. I got a ship that I thought I would like. And that's all the money I put into it. So,
yeah, I think most of my other friends who've been talking about that game already have like $200 or $300 dropped into that. You know.
Well, see, the other thing about that too is like what they have available so far. Like if you were a backer and you have access to the beta, like what they've done is actually really cool. Like the servers right now, the state they're in isn't necessarily up to snuff performance wise, but the features and everything that's gone in, it's if the server's working and there aren't too many players, it actually works pretty well. It's pretty fun, but so I feel like it's just a matter of time. But that's we'll have to see. But yeah, so I mean, looking at this now and with your explanation, I do think I probably would enjoy Eve.
Not to mention, I can kick you over towards the I can kick you over towards the corporation I'm in. That's pretty much dedicated to helping new players.
Well, that's
what were you
cool,
guys
though,
saying,
that you
Bo
have
and
something like that.
Esme?
What's that?
I thought you guys were saying something while he was talking.
Because you need to put a standard 40-hour week.
Yeah, exactly. Like that's the other thing that keeps me away from this because I've heard
like
it.
You're looking at like a high level. I play maybe like 2 or 3 hours a day.
That's
if
not bad,
that.
though.
See, I feel like that's sometimes more gaming than I play at all. Period. Right now, so.
Well, that's
that. I mean,
and that's where like the same kind of place that like Promo's sitting in with Arc. Like, Arc brings you, and I got into it, and that's why I took my break. Arc brings you into a spot where, especially
compromising your health.
Yeah, and you're not. Well, your health,
in moderation.
Like. To give you an idea, if you really wanted to make money in Eve, one way you could do it is just kind of watch items in a trade hub, like what's cheap this day might not be cheap the next day, and if you buy and sell right, you can make money with logging in like once a day.
So you're saying a daily task for a game might get you to the point where you might find yourself enjoying the game because you're now reaching the levels. You see what I'm saying? You know what I mean? Like
I'm
you're
saying
almost
that if you really don't have time, except for like on the weekends, then there's a quick thing you can do once a day that'll help you make the money you need, so that when you have actual like a couple hours to play, you'll have the cash to do a fun thing. Yeah.
Yeah, it's just there are some games that are looking to design a user experience that is all encompassing. I mean, it's the design is that the person who plays it is fully immersed into a very in-depth and fleshed out world. And there's a certain point of a point of no return where you're literally spending all free time that someone could have, even possibly sacrificing other parts of your life to potentially make this thing happen. And you see that easily with Ark when you're trying to make do the whole breeding stuff, and you're trying to do taming stuff. If you go to official raids, defending your base
from official raids until 3 a.m. when you go to work. It's
but that's okay. That's the game. That's the meta, right? You're choosing to defend your base.
I feel like the whole thing. I feel like the whole thing with Eve is the meta too. Honestly.
Right, but
if I understand
it depends really on how you play. Like if you're just hunting pirates for yourself, then you can log in whenever you want and put as much time into it as you want.
I understand
if you're in like a big
you won't ever
corporation
reach
that
those
owns
sections of the game. You won't ever reach the having a huge ship if you can never afford it because you're spending a year and a half trying to earn enough currency. Unless you're willing to supplement your gameplay time
I was
with
in a battleship
costs.
in a week, dude.
You know what I mean? It's an exaggeration.
Okay,
Okay, there was definitely an exaggeration, but the idea is that you are forced, or the amount of effort you have to put forth to play the game, and it always takes a good single player game to bring me back to, hey, I shouldn't have to dedicate 1,000 hours to the 60% of the content that a game has to offer.
Mhm.
It's just
that's exactly why when I set up a server, all you really got to do is stand there, and in about 45 minutes, you're max level.
Yeah, you level up super quick.
Yeah, and certainly I get that, and you might as well just go to the next stage and just say, hit the little checkbox in Arc Server Manager or whatever to just unlock all Ingrams right out of the gate, and just say, okay, well, your leveling really has no bearing on, what you can craft, more just, what you can build at the time. But,
everybody
I get it.
Play the game the way they like it, and
there's a certain amount of prestige.
Cool. For me, endgame is where it needs to be. I hate leveling, always have. I've leveled 1 billion characters in World of Warcraft. I don't know why. I did.
We've all done it on Ark quite a few times too, right?
Yeah, I'm sick of leveling. I really like how Eve does its skill training, because it's really easy, like lore-wise, to just imagine your character sitting in a space station studying something while you're offline. So it's a nice little, just real time. Like, for example, I'm training a bunch of scanning skills because I like going into wormholes and exploring the ancient ruins, trying to find shit I can sell.
You also wanted to talk about PUBG in relation to Fortnite and Overwatch, I guess?
Yeah, not Fortnite and Overwatch, just PUBG versus Fortnite itself.
The building gets me killed. Every time I try to build something, I die.
Don't even try building. I just let all my friends build. I let them do the building, except for like when I need to build a staircase to get to something.
All my friends are PUBG, so like I got the Fortnite and I started playing it, and the gameplay is almost identical. In reality, the gameplay is almost
really fucking is.
You're a little more cartoony, and you can gather some resources and build a little shit.
I do like.
I think that's cool, though. I think that adds a really cool element to the gameplay, to build thing.
You think
and
it
makes
you
it
realize
unique.
That they have shit like the rocket launcher.
Sure, you don't want to make
that
building
you can
things.
Shoot, somebody can ride and then snipe you.
Just the building. It doesn't add
free.
a lot in actual gameplay.
That's where it gets it for me. Is it's basically it's free, and mainly
it's
because
a free PUBG basically.
Exactly, but PUBG isn't a complete game to me. Like it never was, and for them,
Fortnite get in trouble for ripping off Fortnite.
Well, they all ripped off Arma. Like,
But the dude who made the Arma mod is the dude who made PUBG, so I don't really necessarily consider PUBG a ripoff, considering the dude who made the original Battle Royale mod for Arma it's his name slapped on freaking PUBG.
Yeah, he's player unknown.
So I wouldn't necessarily call PUBG a ripoff, more of like a kind of spiritual successor.
What it comes down to is the Player Unknown Battlegrounds is not a complete game, and it shouldn't be considered one, and therefore it shouldn't rectify that the price tag that it generally keeps, a $30 price tag. Yeah, I mean, for literally there's 2 maps.
$30 when I was in early access.
Yeah,
and
but
how
look
long
what
did you play Ark before it was a complete game? How much did you
About
fight
2
with
years.
Ark? How much did you fight with Ark before it was a complete game? How much did you fight with Ark after it was a
Yeah,
full
but
release?
there doesn't seem to be any effort to make. There doesn't seem to be
They're
any
making
effort to make
They're
the game
updating
more.
it every week,
Yeah, they have updates coming out
every Wednesday,
continuously.
every day
Probably,
that it
I
seems
think
to
one
be
of
the very busiest.
the best ways or things that I've ever heard people talking about value. So basically, gaming is entertainment.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
So you could take a look at what do you spend on a movie.
Exactly.
Yeah, Esme's
I
talked
get it. No,
about
I
this.
laugh.
Esme's talked about this before for sure.
Yeah, when you want to go to a movie, you're looking at a good $60 for 2 hours.
Yeah,
Fuck,
so
what
just
kind of movies are
divide
you going to?
60 bucks
Well,
by
you
2
go-
hours
you
or
go-
whatever,
you
and
go
then
to
do
the
the same
movie,
thing
you
for
buy
Ark,
the
and
2
you find out that it
tickets.
costs 5 cents.
Yeah,
You know,
it's like
you-
it's like 2
Or
hours for the
Pubg
price
or
of a
whatever you
ticket.
enjoy playing.
Like I've got like about 100 hours in PUBG now. I feel like I got my money's worth.
Yeah, I got over 20, over 100 hours now.
Fuck,
in
I've
PUBG.
made my money back on PUBG just selling the crates on the Steam market.
Well, see, one of the things I was going to bring up too, related to this, and back when we were talking about Eve, is not every game is made for every person.
Yeah, totally.
You know, you've got to think about yourself and what you like, and I mean, obviously, you have to also think about, okay, what do your friends like, and I want to spend time with these people and play some games. So maybe you might step outside your comfort zone a little bit as well, and you know, that's something that I've been doing with Overwatch because I like hanging out, I like talking, and you know,
I'm
cooperating with these people.
multiplayer game kind of guy.
But you know, if in general you are looking at, you know, and it varies for the time of your life that you're in right now, you know, that you're in at the time as well, and what you need to do and what you have time available for. But you know, sometimes you just need to sit down for an hour and play through a game that is story driven. You know, so you play something like Quantum Break or Tomb Raider, or you know, some of the other things we've talked about. And other times you have a lot more time and you can spend time in a sandbox game, and you may enjoy that. So you play Ark or Eve or you know, things like that. So you know, you are honest. You know, you're in charge of what you play. And if you're trying to force yourself to play something that you don't enjoy, I mean, that, you know, maybe that's something you've got to think about. And again, I know the feeling of having, you know, of wanting to, you know, maybe step outside of that to play with people that you enjoy hanging out with. But in that case, it becomes more about who you're playing with rather than what you're playing. So it's a balance, and it's something, you know, that everyone has to figure out and decide for themselves. But it's one of those things that I think, you know, you don't have to play anything that you don't want to or you're not interested in.
Fair points.
So,
Oh,
you know,
right.
I don't think we should. So I guess more of the point I'm making is I'm not sure that we should make games fit, you know, one size fits all to try to, you know, accommodate everybody, because then we just have a lot of mush that, you know.
That's
isn't
why it
even
comes down to
distinguishable.
accommodating my wallet. You know, the $30, $30
Yeah,
for
No,
a
that's
game
fine.
is.
Well, if it's not a
Yeah.
game that you feel is going to be worth your money, then don't buy it.
Exactly. We're kind of slow on time here. I think we should move on to
Yeah, Mr.
Cricket. Cricket wanted to discuss some.
Yep. So, well, I'll just say a little bit about Ark. I've gotten back into that. I figure when we start with the rated Ark again, I will talk more about that. But essentially, that's what brought me back to be playing with you guys again. Is Aberration came out, and I saw that and decided to buy it. And then I was, you know, need a server, so you know, it's like, well, we always run servers, so you know, we'll get back in here, and I've had a lot of fun with it. I will talk much more about it. The other thing I want to really talk about, mainly because it feeds into my next topic, is I don't know if you guys have used or talked about or seen the NVIDIA Freestyle stuff. That
It's a lighting tool, right?
I don't know. It was about 3 weeks ago, maybe. It's if you go to like the GeForce Experience, it's one of the options you can add on to it. And what it allows you to do is basically turn on different effects live during your game. It would normally be a lot of effects that I would think of as like post effects, like being able to you can change your saturations and all kinds of stuff. You can put on filters, as they say. You can put on like Instagram type filters, but it's not like you're putting puppy dog faces on yourself. You can put on black and white. You can put on the the sepia tones and all that stuff.
Now,
but what I use it for mainly is change my vibrance and my contrast up.
I understand you could also do the depth of field adjustment there, where like the background gets slightly blurry, but the object in focus, so it gives a more dynamic or more depth to a photo or screenshots. I think that's what the intended use is, to take
like there's
screenshots.
another option that they have on it where it's called like I think it's called like war footage mode or something, where I haven't really played with that because a lot of that stuff, if I'm playing the game, I don't really want it because it's making it kind of, I think, for a lot of stuff more difficult to see.
Right.
But I could definitely see it if you're streaming and stuff like that, because it gives some cool effects. So you get some neat.
Yeah, it's a
neat
lot for
things
that
out there for your stream. But yeah, especially with Aberration, since it has all the different bioluminescent stuff in there, and it has very bright colors. Popping the contrast and the vibrance up to max, it just makes it pop so much brighter and just much more interesting looking. I mean, I usually when I remember, which is most times, to turn it on, and you just immediately get a difference in your game look. So if you haven't tried it, I'd say check it out, because you can always just turn it back off if you don't like it, but you can mess with it. There's lots of different features of it. Let me see if I can pull up the menu to see.
Yeah, so I was
do
looking
have a
at
quick
this
question
real
on
quick.
it, though. Go ahead.
Oh yeah, I was gonna say I was trying to figure out how to make it turn on or anything because I also have an NVIDIA card, but I think right now you do have to enable like experimental beta features in GeForce Experience.
Yes.
Is that correct?
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah, you have to. I found the instructions. So, it wasn't that hard to find. You just had to search for turning on freestyle or something like that, and I can try to find it so we can put it into the show notes or something. But essentially you have to enable the beta features, and then in game, if you press Alt F3, it brings up the overlay for it, where you can start to make all your changes.
See, I think it might be different key bindings because on my computer it's Alt Z. I think.
Well, Alt
for
Z
the overlay.
Alt Z brings up the overlay for the GeForce Experience. Alt F3 brings up the overlay for freestyle.
Gotcha. Okay.
So you can get to it either way, because you can bring up the GeForce Experience and then go to freestyle, or you can just go straight to freestyle.
Now, am I misremembering? Were you saying that same freestyle is available in Subnautica? Or
No, I was saying I wish it was.
Oh, okay,
Which is why I said I wanted to bring it up, because the other game that I've been playing recently was Subnautica. I've had it. I've owned it. I bought it right before Christmas of 2016. So I've had it for a year and a half. My one buddy, he was playing it hard as it was coming out. Every couple of weeks he was having to restart the whole game, because as they added new features, in order to get them, you needed to, since it's a single player game, you needed to restart your whole game in order to enable the map to get the different areas, because they were adding new biomes and new areas and all that stuff, and they couldn't just like retrofit it into your old maps. But he was telling me about it, and I was like, oh yeah, that's neat. But I'm playing Ark and all that stuff, and he was playing VR as well, and he said it's just amazing in VR. So that's one of the reasons why I was thinking about getting VR for that game. But like about 2 or 3 weeks ago, all of a sudden I was seeing on some of the streamers that I was following, all of a sudden a bunch of people were talking about Subnautica. I was like, why is everybody talking about Subnautica? This game has been out for over a year. And then I realized that it finally got out of early access and had an official release on like the 28th of January or something like that. And so that's what pushed me to say, you know what, I guess it's finally the time to try it. And it's a neat game. It's a nice change from Ark. It's a very similar feel to it in some ways, but knowing that it's single player and that the world isn't going on when I'm not there is nice. If you don't like the deep water stuff, you might not like it. Although my buddy who told me about it, he has a phobia of the whole open water, but he still loved the game. He said it, he was able to get over his phobia in order to play it. One of the biggest problems I was having playing it though was not hitting the arc keys to do things. I was trying to hit E to use things or to harvest things, and that's not what you do. You click, and so
you can change your key bindings.
And so I just kept finding myself hitting that, and but it's neat. It has a lot of bioluminescence as well, because there's all kinds of glowing fish and glowing flora and fauna within the game. So you get so coming from Aberration, which I was playing right before that, it had a nice similar feel to it in that regard. And I was just been having a lot of fun with it. I need to go back and play some more because it does have a story to it as it unfolds. What I know about it so far is you start off, you're on this ship that gets hit by something, and you crash land into this open water. And as you're crashing on your ship, you escape out an escape pod. And so you start off in your escape pod that has essentially a replicator, which allows you to build things as long as you have the materials for it. And you just start on from there. You go out and you collect fish, you collect different types of different components. Scrap metal is one of the things that you will see a lot of. You're collecting all kinds of different metals and stuff. You have scrap metal becomes titanium, which is your basic building block. You have copper, you have gold, you have silver, which you use the gold and silver to make wiring and computer chips and all that in order to make some of the advanced items. And then eventually you'll make your habitat builder, which allows you to start crafting your home instead of having to keep going back to your escape pod. You can actually finally start to craft a home and using that habitat builder. And it's neat because you just go under there and you tell it what you want, and as long as you have the materials, you just spray the item into existence. So that's the essentials of the gameplay. But as you go through, you find out there was there was like at least 13 different pods that ejected out, and you start to receive some transmissions from them where essentially they had ejected out and they're having problems, and you start to directional find where their location is, and you go and you find it. But so far I haven't found anybody alive or even any bodies. I've just found
you won't find anybody alive. I'll just spoil that for you right now.
I mean, I assume I'm not going to find anybody alive.
Yeah, you won't see another human being the entire game.
But come on, you had to give away the mystery. Come on.
But
there's
as
no
I'm
mystery.
going through,
It's pretty clear you're the only human.
And as I'm going through, I'm also finding there was some other bases that I look like they've been long abandoned. So it seems like there's some former colony or something that came out here, and there's actually some areas that are not submerged, and that's where these bases are. And I've gotten to a point now
islands
where there was a distress beacon sent out, and this trading ship received it and was trying to tell me, we're gonna come get you guys. And then they're finally okay, we're an hour out, we're gonna meet you at this location. And as you start heading over there, you finally see them start to come into into the Atmo. And then if you're in the right area, which I had found the area, which was an alien structure, you see it start to mobilize and become this huge gun, and it shoots the ship out of the sky. So I'm finding out that there's something going on here that's protecting the planet. I'm also finding like there's this infection that's going around.
I was going to say it's a quarantine platform. Basically that's the gist of it. The planet is under quarantine because of this bacteria.
So there's some story in here. That's
he's already spoiling mostly, like halfway through the story.
But it is mostly just an open world, exploration and building thing. So I'm having.
It's like No Man's Ocean then.
Think Ark with an actual story.
It sounds like No Man's Ocean rather than No Man's Sky.
Nah, because it's not garbage.
You know what? Actually, so bringing that up, it's improved a lot from what I've heard, and actually I've played a little bit more again. It is so much better than when it released.
Yeah, I played it like maybe a year ago.
Which one's that?
No Man's Sky.
Or No Man's Sky, okay.
No Man's Sky. Is multiplayer a thing yet?
You have little glowing orbs that you can see each other as. Wow. So yeah, you can actually be in the same place and know you're there, and
But not
interact
see
with this
anybody.
and interact with the same things. So you can't see. Well, there's not a character model because there's never been a character model, but there
I
are
just think it's
there are
hilarious that
orbs.
the guy who was releasing it talked all that good mess about how nobody
I
would
know.
ever meet each
I
other, and then like
know.
a week later, 2 people were in the exact same area.
Well, they didn't meet each other.
Of course they yeah, of course, but not for the reason he said.
I know.
That was hilarious. He just lied his ass off. And made his
Anyway,
game
but
seem
they've
awesome.
you know, in my opinion, they've done a lot to shore that up and improve on and make up for the way it was when it was released. You know, because there's actually progression. You can build your way all the way up to like getting enough money to buy a gigantic freighter and then store up to like 6 ships that you can buy, you know, off of different planets and stuff like that, and build your own base on whatever planet you want
way
to.
too
and-
complex.
And then you get yeah, it sounds really complex, man.
Oh, really? Sure.
Interesting, based off of the 45-minute Eve conversation.
Yeah,
Look,
exactly.
I wish I was streaming. I really wish I was
I died
streaming
and
because
was
if you
reborn,
guys
dude.
actually saw what I was doing, it'd make more sense than when I try to explain it.
Dude, there's like 40 menus. What are you talking
There's
about?
not like 40 menus promo. There's like
Anyway,
one overview that
guy-
you have to pay attention to.
The only point I wanted to
Will's-
make. The only point I wanted to make was that I think No Man's Sky is actually a really good game now.
All right, let's keep on track here.
That's the general consensus that
Cricket
I've heard
wanted to
from
talk
people
about-
who have continued to play it. So, continuing with Subnautica.
But so
no,
I-
he
I
wanted
would
to talk
recommend
about
Subnautica.
Pathfinder tabletop, right? You wanna...
Yeah.
It's
Yeah,
moving
so
on.
I recommend
I
Subnautica
wanna go back
if
to
you like Ark.
NVIDIA
It's really
No,
changed.
we're not going back. We're
Yeah,
going
let's try to
forward.
stop spoiling Subnautica.
I didn't get to ask my
No,
question.
he wants to ask about freestyle.
Yeah.
Freestyle. Oh, lordy.
Well, I was trying to get in there and ask, but there was no opportunities. So with that NVIDIA Freestyle, I was reading a article about PUBG, right? You're using it to crisp up your image and change your images and stuff. Now they're trying to implement their anti-cheating and all this kind of stuff where people are using programs for like aimbots and stuff like that, and using programs to adjust your images and stuff so that you can see your enemies better farther away and stuff like that. Now they're banning people for having these programs. They're not allowing them to play with these programs running in the background. Now, does that NVIDIA Freestyle count as something like that? Like,
I don't know. That would be a good thing to know. Now, it is only, since it's a beta, feature, it is only enabled with certain games. I think Ark might be one of the first ones that.
I wonder though, because like,
that
don't they
has
talk about banning people who change the gamma in certain servers?
well, and that's kind of on the same note where they're changing it so that the player stands out through the grass and everything better with some certain programs and stuff like that.
So here's the other thing I was thinking about. Since it's somewhat like almost officially sanctioned, because obviously NVIDIA has to make compatibility and work with companies on getting it integrated and stuff like that in some ways. If there's like a competitive mode for a game or something like that, because kind of like how you can disable gamma editing in Arc, in particular Arc servers, especially for PvP and stuff like that. Maybe they'll have it integrated where it just won't be that feature won't be activated for a particular part or mode in games where that's a concern.
Yeah, and I am pretty sure that I saw the announcement about Freestyle on the official Arc forums. So obviously they did some type of partnership with NVIDIA to get it to work for Arc. So it's something that they are definitely aware of what it can do.
Oh, I just looking at the page for that. I was looking and remembered about Ansel mode, and that's something that only works in single player for obvious reasons. But maybe similar.
Yeah, I haven't messed with the Ansel mode thing. I see it sometimes when I load up, and it's one of those things that I normally don't play with these things, but I saw that I'm like, let's just see it, see what it looks like, and then I saw some people were talking about some of the recommended adjustments that they did, and as I played with it and turned on those couple things, then it just made the look of Aberration look so much cooler, and I was like, ooh, this is really cool. I'm gonna keep playing it this way. But
Okay, now
yeah.
we can go back to Subnautica, I guess.
No,
While I was done with
We're going to Pathfinder. Also, I
Pathfinder,
think
that's right.
as much fun as I'm having, and I've had a great time, I think I'm gonna get off and go to bed. So, good night,
Just
y'all.
remember, Willektron, if you try Eve, use my buddy link.
All right.
Yes.
Where is that? Just
in
so
the
I can.
show
We'll
notes.
take it offline.
Okay. Cool.
Yeah,
All
it's in
right.
the
Talk
show
to you guys
notes.
later.
Yeah, so I added the Pathfinder in here because I forget who it was in the intro was mentioning that they were playing some Dungeons and Dragons, and it reminded me that was one of the other things when I that I've had been doing, and within the past year or so. When I came after I moved, I started playing Pathfinder again, which now the Pathfinder is essentially people call it Dungeons and Dragons version 3.75. It was branch off of the third edition rule set. Essentially, some of the former developers of the game thought they didn't like how the rules were progressing, and so they split off and took some of the core portions of it and simplified it, and then came out with this Pathfinder. So it's Dungeons and Dragons for all is said and done. But I got back into playing tabletop role playing games, and there's basically for Pathfinder and even for some of the Dungeons and Dragons, they have what's called like the Pathfinder Society, where it's an organized play rule set. So you don't have to have that same group that you play with and meet every Saturday night in somebody's basement. To have your ongoing campaign, they officially release out scenarios that are designed to last between 4 to 6 hours, and essentially it's a bottle episode type thing. It's just single session that you'll go through, and they're usually run at local comic stores or game stores, and essentially they'll have sign-ups and it'll say bring a character between levels 1 and 5 for this adventure, and you can just bring your character and show up as long as it meets with the rules, which you go in there, and it's just an easy way to get back into the game without having to find that group. I always like having the group because you can do so much more, but sometimes it's difficult to find that group of people that you like and that has the time to be able to go through, because with one dungeon master it takes a lot of effort to create your world and to keep up with everything that's in there. So Society was a nice thing, so I got back into that when I came down here, so I was spending a lot of time doing that and not playing video games so much. But now I've kind of taken a break from that again, just because I was doing it with my son, and he's wanted to take a break, so I was like, okay, I guess I'll take a break too. But going along with that, I have also been painting some miniatures, which I know Foe's mentioned. I think that he does as well, because he keeps mentioning his like orc army or whatever that he has to for Warhammer that he's got to paint up. So that's just something else I've been doing. It's somewhat game related, not video game related, but I think I'll finish with that then for tonight.
Alrighty. Well, looks like we're going to be moving into probe time, where we ask probing questions. That's what that is.
Oh,
But
no.
no, it's nothing like, because Foe is not here tonight, so who really knows. But we'll just throw some music in to break it up. Here we go.
Would you rather?
The Would You Rather song?
All right. So, Yogi was not here, but he had asked the question, if you could be a mammal in your next life, what would you be and why?
I assume it's if you be any
Does it
mammal,
have to
because
be
we
a
are
mammal?
mammals right now.
You can't be a human. You have to, like, another mammal.
I mean, fuck mammals. Can I be like a snake?
No, you have to be a mammal.
Make a little slithering snake.
Like, that's
So,
dumb. I don't want to
snake.
be a mammal.
Okay, fine. Since Yogi's not here, we could mod it. If you could be any species in your next life, what would it be and why?
Bring me that snake,
Did you
man.
say Sabichi?
Species.
I would be a flying squirrel.
Now you have to say why.
Because
why?
they're like super cool and they're like fucking up in trees like super quick and like Why not?
But they don't really fly though, don't they glide?
They do glide.
Gliding
just
squirrel.
just like everything in Ark. Not everything in Aberration.
I was about to say Quetzals don't. Quetzals don't
Aberration.
glide.
In Aberration, because you can't take flyers to Aberration.
I'm
Maybe the
sure
wingsuit.
somebody will figure out a way.
It doesn't say an arc. It could be like in your
Maybe
next life.
not a flag suit. Maybe a bald eagle, because they're
Okay,
majestic
you want to be a bald
as
eagle
fuck.
because they're majestic as fuck. Okay. All right. Air quotations. Air quotations. Okay. We're going to go to Agoon. Are you awake? All right, Gigabyte. What did you decide on?
I wanted to be a snake.
A snake. So, what
Sneaky
was your
little
reasoning?
slithering snake.
I like snakes.
All right. Do you like eating mice?
No.
Well, you know.
Think about that for a second.
I mean, I play a lot of Eve, so you know.
So you like eating
Used
mice?
to already being a snake.
Okay. So, like, what made you, like, what about being a snake did you like?
I don't know. I've always loved snakes.
All right, then. Cricket, what's your choice?
I think maybe one of those scary ass spiders from like Australia or something like that, just because it'll scare the shit out of people.
Oh, the one that's like the size of a dinner plate.
You?
You mean a bird-eating Goliath tarantula?
Good lord.
One of those kinds.
Yeah, fuck those, man.
Oh my.
I'm with Giga.
You have some very strong feelings about
Like, just run those over with your car.
your choice.
Yeah, right. Picks your car up and throws it off the road.
He just wants. I think it's just because Cricket wants to be on a bunch of YouTube videos with a bunch of screaming, freaked out viral videos.
Exactly.
You always see that.
All right,
And
note
ever
to
since
self:
he said-
Cricket wants to be surrounded by screaming 5-year-olds. Let's.
Exactly. I don't know, man. I've seen plenty of vids where there's like husbands wanting the wives, and she like comes at it with like a Tupperware bowl, and you know when it gets like 4 inches away from the spider, it like lunges at him.
How big
and-
Esme got it?
If
Yeah.
the spider any bigger than my hand was any like could survive anywhere near where I live, I'd fucking move north.
Already like north though.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
I'd move farther north if.
Okay.
Not a whole lot more exactly north of you.
All right, so
Yeah,
we're
there
gonna
is
move on
a little bit.
for this snake spider pissing contest continues. We're going to go with
Balloon.
Falloons. I have a system, dude. We're going to move up to Prometheus.
Esme.
This is like the second
Anarchy.
grade class question here.
Hey, you didn't put anything down, and Yogi's gonna be very
This-
mad at you.
Well, Yogi, this is a shitty question,
This is
Yogi.
not a side salad question. The
This is this is a second runner up to
Would
the
you
side
like
salad.
super salad?
You know what?
question
Fuck
here.
off. That was a great question.
The only way this question gets worse is if I'm wearing a cat T-shirt and talking about how I want to be a cat for my my mammal or something.
Hey, are you wearing
shit.
a cat
Fuck did I
t-shirt
pick
first?
up?
No.
You are offending. It's like you're offending thing 1 and thing 2 whenever you talk promo. Like either you have provoke on you or you have gigabyte on you.
I was going to tell you. I was like, you don't know. You can't mix these. This is too oil and vinegar here. These two.
You say oil and vinegar?
Oh my
Water,
God.
whatever.
Okay. So promo, give us a freaking answer, dude.
I
Come on.
don't know. I'm gonna be a
All of
dog,
that,
I
you
guess.
haven't-
I don't know.
A dog.
What breed of dog?
I don't know.
Shih
Can't
Tzu.
just
A
say
wolf.
canine.
I'm gonna be a wolf. Fuck it.
Wolves aren't dogs, promo.
I don't know.
Canine.
I've modified it.
It's a canine.
It's modded.
Actually,
It's
fair.
modded. At least I went with a mammal.
Oh my goodness.
You cold-blooded bastard.
Oh man. Okay. All right, Falloon, what's your choice?
It's modded, right?
Yes. Yes, sir.
A rock drake.
A rock drake. Now, what was your reasoning with the rock drake?
Because I could go invisible and swoop in on Esme.
Okay. That does do some scary.
that is fun to do.
Here's my modded version. I want to be a flying skunk. I just want to fly in and like piss nastiness on random people I don't like.
So all of us just want to be some
I
type
would
of
like-
trolly animal.
Hey, no, an eagle is majestic as fuck.
Wait, yeah, that's right. He started to sound all majestic as fuck. The rest of us
You guys are all assholes, and I'm just out here flying, being pretty.
I wouldn't be flying in some belly. I just want to. Well, I've been shit on by a bird before, and I thought, it might just be good to be a flying skunk. That could really do some damage.
Man, could you imagine if a flying skunk hit your windshield?
I totally imagined it before I chose it.
And if that flying skunk could go invisible like the rock drake?
Yes, a flying rock skunk. That's what I want to be, a flying rock.
Now, is that a skunk with wings, or is it like a flying squirrel?
Hey, I'm not picky. I'll take what I can get. All right. So, since nobody else participated in probe time, other than myself, my question was: if your 5-year-old self suddenly found themselves inhabiting your current body, what would your 5-year-old self do first? Wow, the silence is deafening. The silence is deafening. Well, we'll start with Provoke. He was the first one to hit his button.
What? No.
Yeah,
Nah, you're going first.
I watched you, Eagle. Come on, get your Majestic on and tell us.
What was I doing at 5 years old? I was causing shit.
Like you were pooping a lot, or what?
No, I was a
You're eating a lot
troublemaker.
of beans?
I was a troublemaker, and now I would if.
So what would you do now? Like if you were your 5-year-old self and you could like turn into however old you are now, how would you rock it out?
Nicky 9-door.
I have no idea what that is. Is this like the toque? Is this like the toque conversation we had?
I guess is that Ding Dong Ditching?
Yeah, Ding Dong Ditch.
What is that?
That's when you go to somebody's house, you bang on their door, and you run the fuck away.
I lived in the country. The nearest door was
Yeah, we do that.
Yeah, we know. You're still in our driveway.
I've seen you, Esme.
Like, there's no way in hell my ass is gonna be running half an hour away to
You'll ring a doorbell and walk back
You
home.
only have 2 neighbors. They know who you are.
Dear God.
I live in an apartment building right now, okay? There's a lot of doors I can bang on.
It's like a doorbell buffet for you.
Well, it's you gotta knock because like apartments don't have doorbells.
Totally a doorbell buffet. Yeah. Well, that was pretty majestic, Provoke. You surprised me.
Hey, Provoke, that's pretty ham.
Yeah, that's pretty ham.
Did I use it right that time?
No, that's not.
Get your toque on. Get your toque on. All right, coming back. Gigabyte.
I don't think I'm next. Let's have Promo go first.
You are next. I'm going up from the bottom. And
He's got a system. Okay, you can't mess with her system.
Yellow shots.
You're gonna do Jello shots when you're 5? You wanted to do Jello shots when you're 5?
Look, I do what I want.
All right, that's what you want to do. What flavor are they?
You're a 5-year-old alcoholic.
What flavor are they?
If you like pina colada.
Blue raspberry. Blue raspberry all the way.
We're not talking to you, dude. We're talking to you.
We're talking to everybody. It's a podcast.
I literally had to look and see who was. I'm like, that was that Gigabyte. Stop talking for him. No.
Yeah,
hush. All right, so no flavors down there in Texas?
I mean, there's
Cactus?
flavors, but I don't really pay attention to that.
All right. So, okay, Cricket. What?
Is there alcohol in it?
You missed your turn, dude. That's what a freaking.
She's just fed up.
Or if it's just a Jello jiggler, dude, without the alcohol.
Pretty
Like, what?
Look, the point is, am I going to be
this.
feeling good by the end of the day?
But you're 5.
That's what I care about.
You could smell a Jello shot and feel good by the end of the day. You know?
Yeah, exactly. So it's
You know,
not
like-
a lot
But
of
no,
work.
he's the mind of a 5-year-old in a
Blue
21-year-old.
Yeah,
body.
that's the thing.
True. That's true. Good
Yeah, and I'm
point,
like
good point.
6'2", so you know.
So you can have a lot of Jello shots.
Yeah, I got to do a
You're
lot
not
too.
64
I am
color
6'2",
pack of
kid you
crayons.
not.
1 for each color. There you go. Oh, right. Oh, Jello shots that smell like Play-Doh. That would be amazing. Yeah.
Play-Doh smells like ass.
Not really.
How many asses have you
I
sniffed?
was going to say I would love ass that smelled like Play-Doh, because that would be amazing. Because they would smell like Play-Doh. Anyways, moving on.
This is going downhill fast.
Cricket.
Apparently, Esme wants to eat Play-Doh.
I think I would probably just nap all the time.
She wants the adult right to eat Play-Doh and not be judged about it.
I'm almost
No,
30 and I
Jello
still
shots
want to nap all the
smell
time.
like Play-Doh.
Oh fuck! that
Exactly,
sucks.
but when you're
So
you know,
Cricket
when
wants
you're
to go to sleep.
but when you're 30, you actually know that you have responsibilities, and so it keeps you
True.
from napping all the time. When you're
There you
5,
go.
it's just like screw it. I'm just gonna lay down here, curl up with my
Yeah,
blanket, and go to sleep.
5-year-olds fight the whole nap thing, so I could understand that. You're like, I can get the sleep I deserve.
I was 5-year-old or 5 years old stuck in my body. I'd want to go drive.
You would want
Because
to
when
go
you-
drive. Okay.
Right, because when you're 5, you want to drive around, right? You want to use the
Yeah.
car.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, so I was thinking, originally I was thinking something like, just play Minecraft all the time. But if it was my 5-year-old self, Minecraft wasn't a thing 35 years ago.
True. How about you,
But
Faldu?
computers were hardly a thing 35 years ago.
Exactly.
That's the idea. Welcome to the show.
What I do? So it's basically a 5-year-old mind in
If your 5-year-old self suddenly found themselves inhabiting your current body, what would your 5-year-old self do first?
probably go slug my brother.
Ooh, that's
Because
a
that's
good
what I used to do.
one.
And you could hit them hard, too, because it wouldn't be a 5-year-old punch.
Yeah. That is so true. I was trying to think of like what my 5-year-old body would do like immediately, and I think it was like go and get Little Debbie spice cakes because my mom used to keep them locked up.
Eat whatever you want.
Yeah, I would eat. She would like, you could only have this, you could only have this. And I remember I used to pretend that I was sick so I could stay home and play Frogger and steal spice cakes. So on the Atari. So
Frogger and spice
I
cake.
think
Rebel
if I was-
over
I
here.
think if I was 5 in my body, I'd be like, hell yeah, I'm going down to the store, I'm gonna buy me a pack of Debbie spice cakes and play some Frogger. I think that's what
Rebel over
because that's what my
here.
5-year-old self wanted to do that I wasn't allowed to do. So that's what I would do.
I hate to date myself like this, but when I was very young, the local grocery store had penny candy, and some of it was only cost a half a cent.
That's back on the prairie, right?
And yeah, pretty much. I still live on the prairie, in fact. But one of my
Where's
uncles
the
gave me
Little House
like 50 cents one
soundtrack?
time. So when I go to the store, I spent the whole 50 cents on penny candy. That is like over 100 pieces of candy.
Ugh.
I literally got sick. I mean, I thought I was in heaven until I ate it all.
Right?
But so was it penny candy or half penny candy? Because you said
Half a cent. So it was
Oh,
like
well,
it's
two for one
It's
penny.
2 for 1.
That's
Right?
when
Like
they
when
used
you
to
go-
cut the
when
pennies
you
in
go to
half
the-
back then.
And the little.
You go and you get like Sour
You're so
Patch Kids,
crazy.
2 for a penny.
God, man, y'all are freaking old.
All right, moving on. Here we go.
It's cozy.
Moving it up. Wrap it up.
Pack up all those items and head out into the real world. It's cozy time. You don't have to go home, but you can stay here. I don't want to have too long right now. I don't want you to have too long right now. But it's
Esme's
cozy
open,
time.
creepy open mic breathing for you
It's
in
ready
the background.
I wasn't breathing heavy.
You were
I
totally.
was laughing.
I thought that somebody was.
Oh, damn it.
I have to hold my mic open for some reason for it to play for you guys. I don't know.
You sounded like the creepy fat guy in the attic,
That wasn't
breathing
me,
heavy.
man. I was like, was it like this? Oh my god, the worst mouth breather I've ever heard was in World of Warcraft. It was like this. We were like doing. Oh shit! I get
What did you do?
Let's go get. We had another soundboard. Oh right. So hey. Damn it! All right, promo. We're in Let's Call. Got anything?
All right,
you want to
so
add?
it'll be
Any
quick.
recommendations? Food,
It'll be
books,
quick.
TV, movies.
Yeah, so I've done a lot of Netflixing here. So if you got your Netflix account ready here, get it going. But the documentary "What the Health" really changed my life. It has something to do with my medical condition that I went through, and I'm sure in a later episode I'll go into more detail about it. But watch "What the Health." I highly recommend it. It's a detailed expose on kind of what's happening with your food, so you make sure you watch it. Along the same lines as Rotten, it's a like a 6-part series that Netflix put together on some pretty big food staples that have very interesting pasts and futures that they kind of detail, and you learn about kind of the history of honey production, or chickens or whatever. Anyway, it's a great series, and I highly recommend watching it. A little more on the lighter side, there's a sitcom that Netflix put together. It's called Atypical, and it is about a autistic kid. Let me read this synopsis. A teen with an autism spectrum decides to get himself a girlfriend and buys him a bit more time, a bid for more independence, and puts his whole family on the path of self-discovery. It's a great series. I'm pretty sure there's only one season so far, but I do highly recommend it. It's a cool perspective, and it kind of gives you an understanding of some of the autism spectrum stuff that some people go through. So if you know anyone or you have something like that in your family, I highly recommend kind of getting their perspective on it. It does a good job with it. The next one I want to recommend to everybody is it's End of the Fucking World, also on Netflix, and it's a
like specifically End of the Fucking World.
it says effing.
Okay, you know what? I've seen it. Haven't been able to bring myself to watch it yet.
It's really good. It's I believe a European
psychopath and a rebel hungry for adventure.
Yeah, it's really good. It doesn't seem like it would be any good. The trailer
It's
kind
called
of pulled
The
me
End
in.
of the Fucking World.
End of the effing world, yeah. And it's kind of like if you were to take one of those hangover like scenario movies where just shit just continues to go worse and worse, and it's a great show. And along that kind of route is Big Mouth on Netflix as well. If you haven't watched it yet, it is like the borderline sexual comedy that seems to know no bounds, but is witty about it. And it's about teenage friends that find themselves their lives upended by wonders and horrors of puberty in this edgy comedy from real life pals Nick Kroll and Andrew Goldberg. But basically, it's just about kind of boys and girls and how they go through puberty, and it's done in all an animated style, and it's absolutely fucking hysterical, and it's kind of a la cut from the same cloth as South Park, but I think they actually do a better job, to be honest. So I do recommend that. And I'm almost done wrapping it up here. There is one season show right now, The Stand-Ups. I love stand-up comedy. Me and my wife watch a lot of stand-up.
That is good.
Yeah, they did a great job. There's like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 stand-up comics. They do a 6-part series, and each one gets about a half hour, and they do a great job. They're like little mini series, and if you don't have a Netflix account for any particular reason, just the stand-up comedy in general, they've been putting out specials like crazy, all Netflix originals. So just another stand-up comedian, Tom Segura, does a great job. He's very funny. This one's called Completely Normal, and he's another great stand-up comedian, a little bit on the raunchy side, and he's witty. So he does a good job. And the last one I'm watching right now, which I'm still in the process of, which is known as Love, which apparently a lot of people love, no pun intended, I guess. But it's a great show. It's another romantic comedy. Rebellious Mickey and good-natured Gus navigate their thrills and agonies of modern relationships in this bold comedy co-created by Judd Apatow. He does a great job writing this or creating this show. It's another Netflix just home run, man. They're just all these shows are fantastic. There might even be some more that I forgot to mention, but every single one of these I'm excited for the new seasons that are coming out for them. They're all great stories, and I highly recommend all of them. They're great.
Awesome.
Anyone have seen any of these?
It looks like you've had quite a lot of time to watch.
I have been watching shows because it was just something nice and easy to do.
Yeah, definitely.
And it was a nice break from sitting in front of the computer all the time.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've just seen the existence of some of these shows, but I haven't actually watched any of those yet.
They're all great. I was so surprised.
My son was watching Big Mouth today. I noticed. I'm not sure if I'm gonna let him keep doing that because I know it's supposed to be raunchy.
it's extremely like the humor would go so far beyond his head. Like you have to be like this is adult comedy. Like there's no, even though it's animated, but it is definitely.
Yeah, I mean, he did just finish going through Family Guy, since that comes off of Netflix here in a week, less than a week.
Yeah, but Family Guy is pretty weak.
I know. Yeah, Family Guy's no, Brickleberry, Archer, or
Archer.
Even what I think
I
Big
love
Mouth
me
is.
some Archer.
I liked Archer all the way up until the last season. Dreamland?
Put it this way. All those things can go on to cable TV. There's no way they could put Big Mouth on cable TV. There's no.
I'll tell you what, though. Something on Netflix I really like.
They can have Latin lovers on TV, but they can't have Big Mouth? Come on.
I don't know. You haven't watched Big Mouth yet?
I watched a couple
I
episodes.
haven't heard any of this Big Mouth.
It's way out there, man. You're just like, half the time you're laughing because of how far they took a joke, and you're just like, what the fuck is going on through these people's heads? And it's way out there. It's a great comedy.
I'm gonna watch some more of it. Big Blue says Big Mouth first episode has a masturbation monster.
Yeah, it's the it's the hormone monsters. So there's a female one for the girls and a male one for the boys. And the male one is exactly what's going on through a budding puberty stricken boy who's constantly thinking about girls. And so it is, every scene is just hysterical in every way. It's a great series.
I've got a couple of shows that I've been watching. I watched with my wife actually last Sunday. I wasn't feeling too hot. Wasn't feeling I didn't move off my couch all day. Was Altered Carbon. It's a Netflix series. The way I seen it, it was basically a movie stretched out over like 8 or 10 episodes or something like that. And it's set a little bit in the future where people are able to transfer their consciousness to another, what they call skins. Right? So basically just another body.
Actually, don't they call them sleeves?
Sleeves, that's right, sleeves.
I was gonna get, don't spoil this. Don't get too far into it. As long as this is right in the beginning.
That's about it. It's almost like a investigative. I wouldn't say Sherlock Holmes, but you're trying to solve a murder kind of thing. And
because I watched the first episode of it, and
I watched cool. The whole thing, and I binge watched it in one day, and you know what? It was really good, and I'm glad they didn't shorten it to a 2-hour movie, because it was really good. It's a one that I would really suggest to do. And another one, I haven't really gotten super into it, and I don't know, if it's been, because it was pretty old. First release date was December in 2011. Black Mirror, watched a couple episodes of that.
I just posted that one up too.
Oh, did you?
Wait, it's Steel Cricket's thunder there.
I didn't.
You don't even have it listed.
I don't have anything listed. Cause
I'm gonna
talk about a show that I don't have listed.
Well, hey,
Esme, what do you got for?
Esme didn't
shows?
give me the notes, so.
I
can't.
I linked them in freaking chat.
But I can't.
Of the show, dude.
I can't edit them, so I can't type
I
anything
linked
in
them
there.
again. I linked an editable link.
No, I went to the second one and I can't edit it.
Well, it's just because you're a bald eagle. So, we in our
say check out that Black Mirror. It's a good one.
In our general chat on Discord, Amarachi, coming in from the islands of Cyprus, he just shared, because it's morning for him, he just shared that there's some sales at g2a.com where you can get PlayerUnknown Battleground for 17% off, and Dragon Ball Fighter Z for 33% off, and
where are these links?
He just put it in our general chat, so I'll put it in the show notes.
General chat. Okay, I'll go look up there.
But I would highly recommend Black Mirror as well if you haven't watched it before. It's sort of like Twilight Zone type shows where it's just there's it's a short story in itself, and usually something is off with it. Either somebody gets screwed over because kind of that dark humor type thing. But the big thing with Black Mirror is, well, the term Black Mirror is kind of referring to your handheld devices or your monitors that are powered off. It's reflective black surface. So they're pretty much all based upon some type of like a future tech, and a lot of them it's interesting because you could definitely see the world getting tech sort of like these things. And yeah, the new season just came out, and I thought they were really good.
I haven't caught the new season yet, but basically it's a modern interpretation of the Twilight Zone, right?
Exactly.
Yeah, and it's using technology rather than monsters or witches or whatever as the driving fear anchor.
Your smartphone sucks in your soul. Ooh.
No, not at all. It's actually extremely well
like,
done.
I actually watched this. I watched this video the other day. One of the drivers at my work showed me it, and it was so they took two identical smartphones, put one in his pocket.
Ooh, I watched that.
Right,
yeah.
And the other one's on airplane mode and shit.
Yeah,
and like the one on airplane mode like sends more data when it gets back, like when it's hooked up to a computer and stuff. So it's like your shit's watching you.
No, that doesn't make it.
It does.
Do you understand?
What's going
when
on,
when you go offline for a while, and then all your apps.
He
your
said
apps
it
reconnect.
Tracked him in he hooked it up to some software, and it was like before, it was like normally the data would go from your phone right to Google. Well, they had like a third-party software, hooked it up to it, and it showed every time he got in and out of his vehicle.
Yeah, he took a cab all around the city.
That sounds kind of fake to me, to be honest. This sounds like some bullshit to scare you.
Facebook.
Yeah,
on the internet, it's got to be true.
Well,
I found
it's
it
all
on
over the
Reddit.
internet. All you have to do is Google video
Another
Google
great source of information.
And it's like everywhere.
We gotta wrap this
Seriously.
shit up here, man. It's
right
morning
I
here
didn't get to
too.
talk about the show I wanted to talk about.
No, shut your face. You didn't even put it in the show notes. So
because I just remembered.
I superseded you because I had my thing right after promo. So, anyways, I not doing the Netflix. I'm just driving right over you because I'm a flying rock skunk, and that's how I roll. I have been Yogi in the group. He feels me on this. I like Celebrity Big Brother is back on. My TV has been very mainstream, and this is why, because it's kind of interesting. They have like you probably don't even know these people because you're like 12, but I'm kidding. You're not.
I wouldn't be here if I was 12.
I'm joking. You don't know who Sugar Ray is, right? You don't know Sugar Ray because that's not from your time, right? Right, exactly.
Every morning.
Wow,
Sugar
come on, really? Oh man.
Mark McGrath is on there with like
offensive
Shannon Elizabeth from American Pie. She's on there, so it's really cool because they have there's some UFC fighter guy. I'm such a people watcher that I love watching Big Brother. This is just a 2-week long episode, and they threw a bunch of celebrities in. It's the first time they did that, but it's not like Class A celebrities. They're like B, C, or D,
like F class.
Yeah, there's like
they filmed in real life, so they gotta go on Big Brother.
Well, there's Marissa, there's Omarosa, Mark McGrath from Sugar Ray. There's some chick from there's like 11, 12 people in there. But I love watching everybody's personalities mixed together. So does a handful of us in our CRR group do enjoy that. But if that's not your thing, I still love Blacklist. I still think that's a great show. That's on NBC. I'm just, now that I'm getting back, I'm watching TV again. Like I was watching Blacklist, catching up on it, and that's still really good.
My wife loves that one.
Love it. Oh my God, it's so good. I've always loved it right from the beginning. It's just really good. I really like Blind
But it's
Spot
on Netflix too if you don't have cable.
Yeah, but that's last season though. Like I'm watching up to date, but you can still watch NBC. You just go to NBC.com and watch all full episodes, like up to date for free. Same with CBS. CBS has an app on your phone. You can even download it for free and watch stuff. You can even go to CBS.com and watch it. Creep. No, he's not really creepy though. He's like a vigilante, but he has a good heart. He's also selfish.
I don't.
No, that's not a good heart. He does
everything. He's only after himself.
Everything he does is for himself.
But
like, come on.
He still has a conscience, though. You know, he still has a conscience. He's saving people's lives.
He only has a conscience if it benefits him. If it doesn't benefit him, he doesn't have a conscience.
He's a nice but selfish person. Like, there's some good that comes out of it. He's not a sociopath.
Esme, you're trying really hard to defend this guy that sounds like a fucking asshole.
He's not. He's like a.
I tried to watch this show. I couldn't watch it. I'm not gonna lie.
It sounds to me like
That's 'cause
it's
you have to have a
completely
college
from the
degree to watch it
outside. It sounds. Oh my god! And next year
Gotta
say
be
you
able to
have to have a
understand
very
what's
high
online.
IQ to watch Rick and Morty.
I've been watching. I just started watching Rick and Morty
Hey, guess
again.
what? I'm talking. Anyways,
Garbage. Rick and Morty is hot garbage. Let's just roll over Esme with her. You have to have a college degree to watch this show. Get the fuck out of here.
The next
Is that ding? You're done?
Oh dear.
Yeah.
All
Put
right.
a fork in her. She's done.
Oh, right here. Here. Want to see what's done? Right here.
Picked.
No. Right. You're so silly. All right, my last thing before water and vinegar take over the show. We have if you like to play mobile games on your Google or your Android devices from Google Play or whatever, I don't know if it's on iTunes, so I can't really speak for that. But the D Recorder is a free, stable, high-quality screen recorder for Android, and I think it's been pretty easy to do. Like, if you want to stream or record your mobile gameplay, and you can upload it really easy to YouTube. It's pretty cool. And they also have, like, another, like, a handheld editor that goes with it, so that's really neat. If you do want to, like, dive into what we were talking about earlier with that survival mobile game that's like Pubg, you can record your gameplay, use this program on your phone, and then upload it to YouTube or wherever you want, and it's pretty handy for people who want to do that. So I put the link
For
to that
people who
in
don't suck, right?
the show notes.
I could
All right.
never upload mine.
Take off your shirt.
Well, I don't know. What the hell? I forgot about that. Oh my god.
Who's taking off their shirt?
All right. So who was it? Water or vinegar?
I want to see my artwork.
Oh my god.
I was gonna say I got a show recommendation.
All right, go for
Hey,
it.
that came through Falloon's mic.
No.
What did?
That did not.
Then it was promos. They were both.
I
going
was
at the
gonna
same
say
time.
I've been watching BoJack Horseman.
Oh yeah. Actually, you know what's funny about saying that?
Horseman.
Another one on Netflix.
Sweet
I
baby
don't know this.
Yeah.
Right now, BoJack Horseman is the advertisement going, like the trailer going on my Netflix, which is on going on my TV.
Yeah, it's a funny show. I really like it.
Birdman was a good one,
Scratches
too.
my itch.
All right, I think that
I feel
is
like
done.
after 2 a.m.
Episode 14
2 a.m. It ain't 2 a.m.
in the
yet.
bag.
It's like
I mean, you're not
2:36 a.m.
wrong, but
He's like, I like BoJack Horseman.
see, I'm one of those people that get like
It
really
really
personal after 2 a.m.
Scratches my itch. I'm like, what? Who is this person? I just googled it, so you don't sound.
I was gonna say
silly
it's
now.
got that like really sarcastic about life comedy.
It looks like you. It looks
Shut
like
up.
it would be you if you were a BoJack Horseman.
A
That would be
6'2"
good.
horse person, dude.
That crazy.
See, you're just
No.
mad. You just don't believe me when I say that.
No, I think it's I'm googling it now. It does seem like something that would be right up your alley.
No, he thinks I don't believe him that he's 6'2" because I said
Yeah.
I don't believe him that he's 6'2".
That would be a good reason to believe.
I
Told you. Here we go.
I just don't even know anymore.
I don't even know. Literally anything that they
Good
You gotta
timing.
pull us over with
anything
the
you
end
can
music.
try to compare. These two will go at
Good
it
timing.
like just no.
All right.
Let's
Mine
say
is better
goodnight.
than yours.
Silly. Oh wait, this is the intro.
Let's start this all over.
It's absolutely hilarious to blow ridiculous off.
Luscious blonde wig on.
All the
Don't worry, as soon as I spawn, I'll find more things to kill me.
Oh hey.
Extra,
Chinwag.
Chin wagon.
Oh my god.
Bit of chin wagon.
Waggers.
This is the most organized
You can reach the show
chaos.
by email
Organized chaos.
ratedark@gmail.com. You can tweet the show at Rated Arc,
What's going on?
our RSS feed. Get our show notes and apply to join us in-game at ratedarc.podbean.com.
Look what you did, you little jerk!
Big Blue wants to unmute. Yeah.
We end the night with saying masturbation monster in her.